portion of a ballistic missile. We have to wait and watch. But clearly, this is a far bigger projectile than what we saw landing in Jaisalmer yesterday and day before. So that were about 5-6 feet. Those were the kind of projectiles that we had seen. This is more than 10 to 12 feet long. And if you see the whole length and breadth of this and this entire image, it very clearly shows. Look at the locals, and you can compare and contrast the size of this projectile based on the locals who are standing there, and that itself gives you that this is at least 10 to 12 feet long, if not more. And this is not even the whole projectile. This is not even the whole missile. And this is another portion that's found. Now, this could be a live mortar shell or munition. So the locals have been advised that you take pictures and you stay away. Don't touch it. Keep minimum distance. Some of this may be live. Some of this may be diffused. We do not know. But these have landed. So clearly, the escalation ladder, Pakistan has really gone up the escalation ladder. With what intent? Can they sustain it? Is it desperation? But what also stands out is our air defense systems. Yes, there will be some reversals, there will be some aspects, but a 10% hit or a 5% blow on the chin or somewhere is nothing compared to the 100% might that was pushed by the Pakistani. So largely, if you were to say 98% of the efforts pushed by the Pakistani military has been neutralized or has been diffused. But it is also sad that we have lost at least 2 civilians in Jammu Kashmir, leader, one lady, and also one person who was part of the administrative services in Jammu and Kashmir, in Srinagar, who's also sadly lost his life. But the other part, Zaka, as I hand it back to you, is that Pakistanis have not just targeted military installations, they seem to be targeting certain religious installations also, because one of the missiles sent by the Pakistanis, or projectiles, has landed near a temple in Jammu. The other thing is they were flying around over Amritsar. With what intent? We have to see. Thankfully, majority of these have been neutralized. We are also awaiting details, and I'm very curious to see if there are locals who have cited someone trying to come down on a parachute. Because if there is a dogfight and 2 Pakistani jets have been downed, there is a high possibility that there could be 2 Pakistani pilots or enemy pilots on Indian soil. Now, whether they are apprehended, whether they've been cited, we're waiting for those confirmations. But there is a confirmed report that there was a dogfight over the Srinagar skies this morning.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for that, Anand. As we go across to Tejinder in Jammu, but those images from Jaisalmer, that looks like a significant piece of military hardware. That looks like a missile, possibly a short range or a medium range missile, the remnants of which landed up in Jaisalmer. We'll try and find out from our reporter there. We've got Anvit, I think, there in Jaisalmer. This is what the locals have spotted, and they have filmed it and they've sent it across. There's been some civilian casualties as well in Jammu, in Rajouri, Poonch. Tejinder has more on this. Tejinder, I believe a DC level officer has also lost his life. I think his house was attacked yesterday. There's been 3 civilian casualties in Jammu, is what we are told. Just tell us what else are you hearing and seeing this morning in Jammu?
Zaka, unfortunately, there has been 5 civilian casualties across Jammu since the Pakistani army launched this ceasefire violation targeting the civilian population. 3 people, including an additional DC Rajkumar Thapa, have been killed in Rajouri. There has been a fatality. A woman has been killed in Mender area of Poonch, and another civilian has been killed in the Araspura area of Jammu, as Pakistan army continues to target the civilian population. As Anand was rightly pointing out, that a missile launched from the Pakistan side exploded outside one of the famous temples in Jammu called the Aab Shambhu temple, but luckily there was no casualty in that blast. Another 2 missiles that were fired from the Pakistan side, one landed at a residential house in Janipur and the other one in Rehadi. So clearly now the Jammu city, which never came under attack after the 1971 war, has been targeted by the Pakistan side. They are using drones, they are using missiles, heavy artillery guns to target the civilian population. And Zaka, as we speak, the line of control in Jammu as well as in Kashmir is really hot. Pakistan army is once again targeting the civilian population living along the line of control in Uri, in Tangdhar, Keran, Machil sector in Kashmir, and in Jammu region, Poonch, Rajouri, Kathua. These are the areas which are being targeted by the Pakistan side. But yes, the Indian army is giving a befitting response to Pakistan. We are told that several positions of the Pakistan army from where they are launching their tube projectiles from where they are targeting the civilian population have been
All right.
completely decimated by the targeted fire of the Indian armed forces.
So
Yes,
the three
Zaka.
sets of images that you're seeing, one from Amritsar in the fields there, that's the wreckage of a drone, clearly. Remember, yesterday, India called out Turkey and said there were Turkish-made drones that were being sent from Pakistan to India. The middle part of your screen is debris from a Pakistan Air Force jet. We don't know the make. Could be an F-16, but we don't know the make. It's in a place called Lasjan. You heard from Ishan a moment ago. He's landed in that residential colony in Lasjan. Thankfully, it fell on the backyard of an individual. And then on the right side of your screen, it seems like a massive projectile of some sort. This is from Jaisalmer. We'll try and get to Anvit as well to try and get a sense of what this is and how the villagers managed to find this. Arunima is joining us. So the big picture at 8 o'clock this morning, this Saturday morning, it's been a hot night between India and Pakistan. Multiple drone and missile strikes both ways. Pakistan upping the ante, escalating going up the escalation ladder after the IMF bailout announcement, trying to attack India's forward air bases and military stations from Jammu to Udhampur to Pathankot to Sirsa, Adhampur were all under target, but all of those attempts have been thwarted. India, in response, taking out some of the forward air bases of Pakistan, the Noor Khan base being the topmost one. It's one of the biggest air bases, one of the oldest air bases of Pakistan. It used to be called the Chaklala Air Base, right in the heart of Rawalpindi. There's one in Chakwal, the Murid Air Base, a smaller one, which has transport aircraft, and then one further south in Surkot, the Rafiki Air Base. Arunima, from South Block, what is the big picture that you're hearing from top government and defense officials?
So while assessment is currently going on, the current action that we are seeing is that assessment of what really has what is the kind of damage that has been extended to Pakistan. We've all been reporting that it is suspected that 2 Pakistani Air Force pilots have ejected near Srinagar. So there is an intense search operation that has been launched to locate them. And now we're just looking at the Pakistani media. They're reporting that Shahbaz Sharif has called for a meeting of the National Command Authority. So all of the developments that are happening in Pakistan also is being closely monitored. Our own Foreign Secretary is expected to brief with details about what really has happened overnight. The only official word we had last night, the statement from the Indian Army, was that at 26 locations drone attacks were carried out. And after the statement came out, there were surface to surface missiles also, and also Pakistani aircrafts which were launched. We have been reporting how they've got a bloody nose. They tried to cause damage at Pathankot, Jammu, Udhampur, and their media is continuing to maintain that there was some damage done to the Udhampur airbase, but something which has been rejected by defense officials. There was a briefing that was supposed to happen this morning, but it was put on hold because there was live air operation happening, and soon after that we heard that Pakistani jets have been downed near Srinagar. So currently the big picture is that Pakistan is trying to once again get the international community involved, trying to raise the bogey of nuclear weapon once again. India, however, maintains that we are only retaliating. Provocation is coming in from Pakistan and we are only retaliating, and that press conference by the Foreign Secretary is expected to toe the same line.
All right. Anand's also there here in the studios with me. So some of these pictures that we're getting, Anand, these are parts allegedly of a downed Pakistan Air Force jet that's been found in Lasjan. We saw that massive projectile from Jaisalmer as well. And then, of course, the intercepts, the CCTV footage of the intercepts of a Pakistani post where they were using to launch drones. What are you hearing and seeing?
Well, there are multiple reports coming through. There is confirmation that there are 2 jets that have been downed. There are also pieces that have landed at different portions across the western border. So be it Jammu and Kashmir, be it in Haryana, be it in Punjab. Now, these are pictures in Gurdaspur. So again, there is a huge collection of people who have come there, and there is something that's landed in the fields. Now, it could be live ammunition. Viewers who are watching this, if you see something that has landed somewhere close to your vicinity, or if you know people who are telling you that they are seeing something, they should maintain a fair distance. But what's also evident is that the impact here has made a bit of a crater or a hole on the other side. Now, these are farmers who are tilling their lands, and this is an open field in Gurdaspur. Look at the crater there. That's the ditch. Now, something's landed big here. For the impact for it to be on a field, and it's landed huge here. So something's landed here, and they're trying to show what it is. It looks like portions of a projectile that has landed here, and it's quite a big crater. Now, you look at this. This is quite a big crater. and there are a lot of people around. It looks like these pictures are coming at a time when local authorities have already arrived there, because there's a huge collection of people. But look at the size of the crater. This is a huge crater that's landed here. So something big has landed here in Gurdaspur with a huge amount of impact. So clearly, with each passing night, from small drones which had nothing, small projectiles which were not very potent, the size of the projectiles, the missiles, has gone very big. Anshul joins us with more details. Anshul, Gurdaspur, there's a huge collection of people. What seems to have landed there? Is it portions of a big missile? Does this further confirm the theory that Pakistan has actually launched ballistic missiles towards India?
Well, definitely, this seems like a big missile, something that has not been that has not been regularly seen over the last 3 days regarding the kind of projectiles that have been launched from the side of Pakistan. At this point in time, the locals have collected over there. The officials and the members of the army, official members of the army, are reaching on the spot. They will try to ascertain as to what kind of missile was actually used that has landed in Gurdaspur at this point. However, at the initial information that we are picking up, there has been no reports of any injuries that has been reported. But yes, there has been lost. There has been loss
They
to
seem to have
property. There
landed
are
in empty
window
fields. You are
panes
in
that have been
Pathankot at this point, Anshul. What's happening in Pathankot? Is it quiet? We spoke around the same time on Friday morning. This is now, we are into Saturday morning. What is happening in Pathankot at this point? Was it active? Did people cite explosions last night too? Have there been certain portions or debris of attempts by Pakistan that have been neutralized, that have also landed in Pathankot?
Well, yes, at least 25 to 30 explosions were heard by me, myself, and all these 30 explosions were actually of projectiles that were sent from the side of Pakistan, but all of them were actually neutralized by our air defense systems. Especially from 5 a.m. this morning, there were one after the other that were attacks that were launched from the side of Pakistan, and that had landed over here. In fact, that were thwarted by our air defense system. Now, at the exact location at which I'm standing, this is the last village of international border over here in Pathankot. Right in front of you, what you are seeing is Pakistan. I'll try and see you a few posts of Pakistan or Pakistan over here. This village is a very important village, because the manner in which there has been amplification that has been done from the side of Pakistan. There are reports of certain firings that might have happened, but this is the international border. Over the last few hours, this has remained absolutely calm. But yes, a few locals actually claim that late last night they saw a few projectiles being launched from here. These projectiles were actually neutralized by our air defense systems. I'll just try and get in a word from a few people. भैया आप यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं, किस तरह का माहौल है यहाँ पर? बिल्कुल पाकिस्तान सामने है आपके, और काफी अभी टेंशन बढ़ी हुई है।
माहौल तो सर अभी खराब ही चल रहा है, आपको भी पता है, माहौल तो खराब ही चल रहा है। माहौल ऐसे अभी रात को तो कोई रहता नहीं इधर, जो लेडीज है जेंट्स है सब चले जाते हैं।
कुछ लोग तो रहते हैं,
कोई 10-15 जी रहते हैं।
कितनी आबादी है इस गांव की?
इधर 450
आबादी है। तो कैसा है, कभी वहां से कोई अटैक होने का?
अभी तक तो कोई नहीं हुआ सर, अभी तक इधर तो नहीं हुआ, बाहर होगा, लेकिन इधर नहीं, सिंबल गांव में नहीं हुआ। हाँ जी।
So, thank you for that. To speed a little past 8 o'clock is that there has been a hot night between India and Pakistan. Pakistan clearly climbing up the escalation ladder. What you're seeing are visuals from different parts along the northern and western sectors. Jaisalmer, a massive projectile of some sorts. It looks like a missile of some form. And then in Lasjan and Srinagar, you're seeing visuals of what is likely remnants of a downed Pakistan jet, a Pakistan Air Force jet. So let's bring you up to speed with the headlines that we're seeing. First, in Lasjan and Srinagar, in the outskirts of the city, parts of a Pakistani jet have been found. The pictures of the wreckage have been accessed. You can see this was inside the residential compound of an individual. Headline number 2, India managing to intercept Pakistani drones. We can show that CCTV footage as well. This is on a Pakistani launch pad they were using on the other side of the international border in Jammu. Top defense sources saying that India has destroyed this Pakistani post that was trying to launch drones. And of course, the launch pads that have been used. The second image that you see is that of the destroyed drone. You can see the intercepts happening in the night sky. And then the second image, smoke and fire in the fields there. Headline number 3, part of a drone has been found in the fields of Amritsar. Again, Amritsar, bang on the border, just 60 kilometers between Amritsar and Lahore. So parts of a drone have been found in the rural parts of Amritsar in agricultural fields. You can see that as well. Headline number 4, a projectile from Pakistan has been found in Lasjan. This is, like I said, believed to be parts of a fighter jet of the Pakistan Air Force that was brought down in a dogfight over the skies of Srinagar. A bomb-like object has been found in Jaisalmer. This is in a place called Jamla village, close to Pokhran. The Indian Army has neutralized the Pakistani projectile. It seems like parts of a missile. There's also that image of a much larger, almost 10 feet large projectile that's been captured there in Jaisalmer as well. So these are the various images that we have. We have Arunima Siddhant joining us. Siddhant, what's the international community saying? Has there been any response, any form of, wanting to calm down tempers, de-escalate the situation? It seems like both India and Pakistan are now locked in this escalatory phase, climbing the escalation ladder. Someone's got to come in and try and mediate and try and get both parties to back off? Or are they saying, as Vance and Trump seem to be suggesting, that, look, it's their problem, let them figure it out?
Well, yes, that's right, Zaka. In fact, international community is urging both sides to de-escalate. In fact, we have a fresh statement from G7 foreign ministers. Perhaps, first they condemned Pahalgam terror attack, then they urged both sides to de-escalate for the sake of regional peace and stability. In fact, Saudi Arabia is one country which is giving efforts for de-escalation. In fact, this offer had come from various countries for mediation and for giving for offering their good office for the mediation purpose between the two between India and Pakistan. But at this point in time, Zaka, you need a country which has leverage with both India and Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia seems to be the one. So this is a reason that, in fact, the special envoy of Saudi Arabia was in the national capital day before yesterday. In fact, he met Foreign Minister Jai Shankar. He, in fact, met Prime Minister Modi, though there was no photographs released of him meeting Prime Minister Modi. Then yesterday he was in Islamabad, and in fact, Islamabad released those photographs of him meeting Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir. Perhaps we really know very little about what was conversation all about. In fact, when he was here also in the national capital, there was nothing which we got in terms of information from Ministry of External Affairs or any other government wing regarding the conversation. Perhaps was he carrying somebody's message? What is the position of Saudi government, whether that was conveyed to the Indian government, etc., etc. So we know very little. And today Saudi Arabia has come up with a statement, Zaka, confirming that this envoy was sent on a surprise visit to both India and Pakistan, perhaps to give efforts to de-escalate tension. But it doesn't look like
an unscheduled visit.
The
the steer that we're getting. He's gone to both Islamabad as well as to New Delhi. First New Delhi and then Islamabad. Before I go to Anand, Aman is also joining us. Aman, what's the big picture? What are top government sources telling you? Because clearly things have escalated. This is the third night, the night between the 9th and 10th of May. It's the third night after Operation Sindoor. Clearly, we're now looking at an active conflict between India and Pakistan.
Well, absolutely, Zaka. As you correctly say, India, Pakistan both are on escalatory ladder, and India is totally and squarely blaming Pakistan for what is happening. India is very clear, Zaka, that our attack, our retaliation was over with Operation Sindoor on May the 7th. It is since Pakistan, which is upping the escalation, first by sending drones across the border, attacking 36 targets from Leh to Sir Creek the previous night. And what has happened today early morning is a complete escalation, firing of ballistic missiles at India. This is something that India is saying will be responded in big measure. India has already responded today morning, and India is seeing a plot here, Zaka. India feels that Pakistan waited for the IMF bailout. Till then, the drones which came were all recce missions, intelligence gathering missions, trying to test our air defenses, maybe trying to exhaust our air defenses. But Pakistan has been caught by shock and surprise today morning when it launched its full attack soon after getting the IMF bailout. India also trying to now tell the world that, look, you have bailed out a country. IMF has given a bailout to a country which has launched ballistic missiles at India, which is exporting terror. So the world community also needs to, sit up and take note what Pakistan has done today morning, soon after getting the IMF bailout. And this is what India told the IMF very, very strongly yesterday also, by abstaining from the vote and lodging its strong protest, that a country which is fomenting terror against India, why is it being given one bailout after the other? Nearly over 24 bailouts given to Pakistan over the last many years. India made that point on the world stage. India was not able to stop the bailout because of the way the IMF is structured. But today's strikes are completely escalating the matter. India is now saying the onus is on Pakistan to stop, to de-escalate. But if Pakistan does not stop, India is going to go to any lengths to protect its territory, to protect its military assets, to protect its civilian population. And that is why you've seen this morning, Zaka.
All right, thanks, Aman. Anand's here in our studios. That projectile that you showed from Jaisalmer, and I believe Anvit will also be joining us. We can go across to him. It's from a village part of the Pokhran, Jaisalmer, that belt. Can you show us that projectile, Anand? And there's a massive crater that's been left on the ground.
Well, these are updated images, Zaka. These are updated. Now, this is what, see, the serial numbers are also there. The UCP 213-15956, and the serial number is also put out. So there are more images coming through of the projectiles that were launched. This is confirmed proof that it is Pakistan that has launched ballistic missiles and also sending huge projectiles. Look at the impact which is there on the field. It's landed on a field, and people are now, we'll go across to that side, where the size of the projectile itself shows that this was a missile. This was not a smaller one, and it was not mounted on a drone or anything. This was a ballistic missile. This is the person who's walking us, and he's taking us to the place where the actual portion of it has landed. It has come through that area. That's what they're trying to show. See, there are other pieces also. There are more fractions and fragments that have fallen here. Look at this on the ground, and then He's pointing with now there are more. See, you see more smaller fragments that have gone in before we come and see the final big piece. That is that blue, dark blue, indigo blue kind of a missile. Now this is the actual color, or midnight blue or black. That's the color that that the missile actually has. Now he's showing the distance that this entire projectile, once it's crashed, it's gone and it's traveled. The fragments have traveled. See, there are more fragments here. There are more portions and more fragments here that we are seeing. There you go. This one again, big pieces, big chunks which have landed. That's more than a foot and a half of the material or the external covering itself. And then this person is walking across to that particular projectile where he finds it. Now they say it is behind the bike. If you remember the first set of pictures, the bike was right there. Now there you go. We're going to freeze these pictures. They're going to walk, and that's where it is. So it's created a bit of a hole. It's created a bit of a trail as it comes there, and more people are now coming to see these pictures of this projectile. Now these are pictures from Udhampur. More pictures will be coming through. These are pictures from Udhampur that we've got. There are pictures from Jaisalmer that have come. The Jaisalmer first picture. Now this is confirmation. This is an open field where this piece has landed. There is also a piece that's landed in a huge projectile that's landed in Sirsa. So clearly, Pakistan upping the ante and sending these projectiles. The world needs to watch these. The world has to see the ballistic missiles that were launched by Pakistan soon after they got the. Look at the crater. Look at this gap. It's opened it wide out here, and something's landed here too. So that's what the people are saying, that it's come from the skies. The people are pointing it out. It came from the skies. It came from there, and it's landed here. So there are drones that have landed. There are missiles that have landed near Pokhran. In Jaisalmer, there are big drone chunks that landed, which show that they had huge markings and also that they had munitions loaded on it. So let's try and understand where all Pakistan, soon after the IMF bailout got a thumbs up for them, attacked Indian side on the western borders. Let's look at it. So they very actively targeted Udhampur. There is something that landed in Udhampur, but the Air Force station and the base there in Udhampur is safe. There is no damage done. They have attacked Jammu city vigorously, but right across here on Jammu, here on a park post, which was launching the tubes for drones, we have actually neutralized. There is Pathankot. Now, seriously, there has been some, at least 25. Anshul was there from the CNN News 18 overnight at Pathankot, and he said at least 25 explosions over the skies I've heard overnight. And Pathankot, they've actively tried to target. There is also Sirsa. Now, the question is, Sirsa, where was this projectile aimed at? Was the Sirsa projectile intercepted, or this missile over the Sirsa skies intercepted while it was on its route to the national capital? Was it somewhere around Delhi? That's the big question. Did Pakistan, did Rawalpindi, did General Asim Munir and co. target the national capital soon after the IMF bailout? That's the big question because of this missile that was intercepted over Sirsa. Now, what have we done? Soon after this happens, around midnight, between 12 to 12:30 p.m., 12:30 a.m., there is a counter that India launches. Now, India's counter is so fast, so swift that they have had huge reversals. What did we target? India targeted, the Indian Armed Forces targeted Islamabad, Noor Khan base, the PAF Murid base, Narowal, Shekhupura, Lahore, the Rafiki Air Base, and the Sukkur Airport in Sindh. All of them were targeted, and this is confirmed now that the base in Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi has suffered serious reversals. There are actually reports that the Pakistanis, let's see if they confirm it, that their entire fleet of C-130s has been rendered ineffective here. They have suffered serious reversals. They couldn't operate their machines in Pindi. Then also the Narowal Air Base, again, they couldn't operate their machines from here because the air base has been hit. It's been hit hard. And there is one more, which was one more airbase that's been hit in Chakwal, or let me just see that. Yeah, in Shorkot. So this airbase also has been hit. And of course, projectiles have landed, and there's confirmation of landings that have happened in Lahore where certain installations have been hit, Zaka. So clearly, India's reaction has been far more punitive, and it's hurt the Pakistanis than what they attempted. But this treachery, the international community must note that the moment they get the bailout, Zaka, look what they unleashed.
Absolutely. And I think Omar Abdullah has underlined that point as well, that it can't be that Pakistan is given this bailout after bailout after bailout, and then some of those monies are diverted into directing terror and active aggression against India. I also want to get a quick word in from Anvit, who's in Jaisalmer, where we saw that massive image. It was a 10 feet long projectile, a rocket of some form. Anvit, if you're there, which part of Jaisalmer is it? It seemed like rural desert. What are the locals telling you? I mean, when did this land? How did they end up finding it? And I presume that either the army or the police would have taken away these wreckage, this remnants.
Yes, Zaka, the piece that has fallen has fallen in Pokhran. We were attempting to go towards the border, international border, ahead of Jaisalmer. We were stopped in, ahead of Tanot. We were stopped in Ramgarh. Ramgarh stands to be the last village beyond which civilian movement is not allowed. Media is also not allowed. Army has taken over, and BSF posts. From there, all the vehicles are being ridden. You can see this road is completely blocked. We are ahead of Jaisalmer in Ramgarh right now. In this area, last night, a huge shelling was witnessed, and many drones were also witnessed. Witnesses have said that many bombs were dropped, and some portions of drones that were intercepted by India have also fallen in this area. Yesterday we had shown how in Kishan Ghat one such piece was in a controlled detonation by the military, it was taken away. We have one witness who had witnessed huge amount of drone crashing in this area. Sir, आप यहीं रहते हैं?
जी, हम रामगढ़ रहते हैं।
यहाँ पे परसों काफी ड्रोन शेलिंग्स वगैरह हुई थी।
देखिए, यहाँ परसों रात को पाकिस्तान की तरफ से कुछ ड्रोन आए,
जी।
तो हमारी सेना ने उसको तुरंत ही
यहाँ पे भी कुछ ड्रोन के
थोड़ा
पार्ट
सा यहाँ पास कुछ गिरा था,
हाँ।
वो फिर उसको पुलिस और सेना ने उसको ले लिया। तो देखिए, यहाँ सेना हमारी पूरी मुस्तैद से तैयार है, और उसके साथ साथ माते श्री तनोट राय घंटियालिया वो भी तैयार है। जब 1971 में लड़ाई हुआ था, तो माते श्री तनोट राय से कोई भी बम फटा नहीं, कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ, अभी भी वैसा ही है, कोई भय वगैरह डर की कोई ऐसा नहीं है।
So basically, in this area, a lot of bombs and portions of drones that have fallen, that were intercepted, have fallen, and the army had been collecting all of those in with the local police. Yesterday also forensic teams were there in Kishan Ghat as well as in Ramgarh area, and further from here in Tanot as well. All the pieces have been gathered. They've been sent for examination to find out what is the origin, and also to find out what could have been the implication if they had
We'll
exploded.
leave it at that. I want to go to this piece of breaking news that MEA briefing has now been confirmed at 10:30 a.m. That is what we are given to understand. This is on Operation Sindoor. Remember, for the last 3 days, it's the Foreign Secretary who's been briefing the contingent of the media. So it will likely be a joint briefing of the MEA as well as officials from the Ministry of Defense. Last 2 days, it was the young women officers from the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army, Wing Commander Singh and Colonel Qureshi. Both of them are also expected to be flanking the Foreign Secretary. But it has been a serious escalation overnight between the 9th and 10th, the night between the 9th and 10th of May. Pakistan, immediately after the announcement of the IMF bailout, has upped the ante in an attempt to try and take out some of the forward air bases of the Indian Air Force. They've targeted the Udhampur Air Force Station. They've targeted Udhampur, of course, is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Army Command. Also tried to hit the Jammu Air Force Station, Pathankot, which is our biggest forward air base. It has some of the squadrons of our 4.5 generation fighter jets. Also over the Sirsa Air Force Station. So multiple Air Force stations the Pakistanis tried to take out overnight. And this is the first sort of rung in the escalation ladder where two states or two armies, two air forces that are trying to take out each other's Air Force stations, because if the enemy cannot scramble his jets, then that is a serious tactical advantage that you have at the starting of any conflict. Siddhant is now joining us with further details. So the MEA briefing at 10:30 a.m., is it just going to be the Foreign Secretary, or is it going to follow the same pattern that we saw the last couple of days, Siddhant, the two young Army and Air Force officers also flanking the Foreign Secretary?
Well, so far, Zaka, we have a very limited details, but perhaps it could be the same format. What we have been seeing in last three press briefings of Operation Sindoor. In fact, we just got the confirmation from the government that at 10:30 there's going to be the press briefing, the joint press briefing of Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Defense. Perhaps there was a briefing which was scheduled early in the morning at around 5:45 a.m. Zaka. That briefing got postponed because the operations were going on. The focus was in the skies, and it was decided to postpone it to 10 a.m. And now we are getting to know that finally, Ministry of External Affairs has announced that there's going to be the joint press conference between Foreign Ministry and Defense Ministry at around 10:30. But this would be the first time that when Indian government will put its record straight as far as the developments which have taken place in last 12 hours, Zaka. Both sides are climbing the escalatory ladder. Perhaps Indian side has taken down the Pak air bases. In fact, Pakistan has attempted to target key Indian military installations. In fact, Fatah missiles have also been used by Pakistan. The attempt to target Sirsa was thought by the Indian forces. So
okay, so we're going to come to you as and when that briefing begins. I want to bring you up to speed. If you're joining us at 8:30 this Saturday morning, these are the 5 or 6 big headlines that you need to know. It's been a hot night between India and Pakistan. Multiple locations targeted by Pakistan here in India, and India giving it back in kind. Headline number 1, in Srinagar, in the outskirts, in a place called Lasjan, parts of a Pakistani Air Force jet, wreckage of a Pakistani Air Force jet, have been found. These are the pictures of that in the Lasjan area. It's landed, thankfully, in the backyard of a residential complex, and therefore no one has been hurt or injured in the process. Headline number 2, India manages to intercept Pakistani drones. This is from the other side of the Jammu border, on the other side of the international border in Jammu, a place called Narwal. We're given to understand. You can see 2 sets of pictures. One, the intercepts happening on the background of the night sky. These are CCTV images. The intercepts happening in the middle of the sky. And the second set of images are the wreckage. There you go. The smoke and fire out in the fields of Jammu. You can see that happening. That's headline number 2. Headline number 3, we're given to understand a part of a drone. This is wreckage that's been found in the fields of Amritsar. Amritsar over the last couple of nights has been hot. There's been a lot of activity, drone activity. This again seems to be the wreckage of a drone. Yesterday, India did the unprecedented step of calling out Turkey and saying Turkish-made drones were being used by Pakistan on probing missions, on exploratory missions to try and test India's air defenses. Headline number 4, a Pakistani projectile has been found in Lasjan. Like I said, this is believed to be parts or remnants of a downed F-16. There's also confirmation of a dogfight that happened over the skies of Srinagar. 5 missiles, we're given to understand, were fired from the Srinagar military base and then believed to have brought down what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet, the make of which we don't know. Hopefully, we will get some confirmation of that from the Foreign Secretary's briefing in about a couple of hours' time. Headline number 5, a massive bomb-like object. It's about 10 to 12 feet long. It's huge. It's been found in a place called Jamla. It's a village in Pokhran, in the wider Jaisalmer region of Pakistan, of Rajasthan. That, of course, you can see the second image, which shows that massive almost 10-12 feet long rocket-like projectile that's been landed there, that's been neutralized there. The Indian Army has neutralized this missile attack in the sky. So this is headline number 5. Headline number 6, Pakistan also targeting civilian areas. In Jammu, there have been, unfortunately, 5 deaths, 5 civilians who have died. In Rajouri, a district collector level officer has also passed away. Unfortunately, his house was the target of heavy shelling. There's been heavy artillery shelling, both on the line of control as well as on the international border. Pakistani projectiles also hitting a temple, a famous temple in Jammu called the Shambhu Temple. Headline number 7, damaged parts of a drone or something like a drone has been found in Udhampur. This is in the Narsu part of Udhampur district. We don't know further details, but it seems like wreckage from a drone yesterday. Udhampur, of course, is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command, and the attempt there was to try and target the Northern Command headquarters as well. Security forces have reached the spot. I also want to show that Shambhu Temple picture. Again, this is wreckage from a projectile of some sort at the Shambhu Temple, a very famous temple in Jammu. Thankfully, again, it landed in the outer perimeter of the temple complex, and therefore there's been no injuries or no one has been hurt. That, of course, again, a famous temple in Jammu. So clearly, the activities have increased between both India and Pakistan in the intervening night between the 9th and 10th of May. Akash is joining us from Jammu, where multiple attempts have happened in civilian pockets as well as the Air Force station, but all of it has been thwarted. Akash, what is the latest that you're hearing from top defense sources?
Right, Zaka, I'm standing in this Rehari colony. First of all, I'll try to give you a sense of what has happened here. There you have forensic teams and, in fact, the police here. This is one civilian property that has got a damage because of the sort of attacks that we have seen in the morning today. And there I am being given this sort of, this is something, a part of possibly a drone or the missile or the projectile that came here. And there you see, these are the individuals who have handed over this thing to me, and they are saying that this was a part of the sort of damage and, in fact, the projectile that came here. I have been told that many people who were, here in the house got injured. I'll try to talk to them as well as to what actually happened. But before that, I'll try to give you a sense as to what actually happened. There you have the top floor of the house that has got damaged. Multiple cars that have been standing here, in fact, have got the damage. There you have in the close vicinity, around 50-meter area, is damaged. We still not, don't know as to if it was a drone or missile. But I'll try to, in fact, talk to the individuals as well. I'll try to talk to them. सर क्या हुआ था यहाँ पे और कितने बजे हुआ बता पाएंगे आप अभी आए हैं यहाँ का कोई है क्या हुआ है यहाँ पर
मिसाइल वगैरह वो रेड नीचे छत पे
कितने लोग रहते हैं इस घर में
यहाँ पे ऊपर 4 रहते हैं सेकंड फ्लोर में भी 4 रहते हैं नीचे 6 रहते हैं
तो वो ठीक है अभी
हाँ जी
उनको कोई चोट वगैरह लगी उनको चोट वगैरह नहीं लगी अभी ये फॉरेंसिक्स वगैरह टीम कितने बजे हुआ लगभग कितने बजे कहा
ये 5:50 पे
सुबह 5:50 पे तो किसने देखा कोई मिसाइल वगैरह थी या ड्रोन वगैरह था क्योंकि
लोग सोए हुए थे अचानक से आवाज आई सभी को
जम्मू मेडिकल कॉलेज पास में हमें बोला जा रहा है कि शायद वहां पे टारगेट था कुछ ऐसा कुछ बताया यहाँ पे जो एजेंसीज काम कर रही हैं Alright, Zaka, forensics teams are here. Once again, I'll try to give you the visuals of this particular house. This is the house, that has in fact got the damage. I'll show you the, in fact, the visuals of the, workers who have been in fact there, the police, Jammu Kashmir police, and also the civil defense staff. Forensics teams are basically checking, the sort of damage and in fact the sort of thing, the projectile that was used. But it is unfortunate that civilian properties are being targeted. Either, it is a failure or it is intentionally being done. In both the cases, Pakistan is exposed because they have been saying that they don't want to escalate. But in this particular case, we have been seeing that how they have been launching attacks. And since last night, late in the evening, we have seen that starting from Jammu, they have been targeting many properties. We have seen the Firozpur area as well, where a civilian property was targeted. And here in Jammu as well, we have this civilian property that was on target and in fact that has received sort of damage. Zaka.
All right, Akash, we'll come back to you in just a bit, but we're getting this piece of breaking news. Reuters is reporting, and we want to be very, very responsible and restrained in our reporting. Pakistani Prime Minister, and we can, it's flashing on your screen at the bottom half as well. The Pakistani Prime Minister, Shahbaz Sharif, has called a meeting of the National Command Authority. It is the authority that has overseen the nuclear powers or the nuclear command authority of the Pakistani military. He has called for a meeting of the National Command Authority today on Saturday. The Pakistani military has confirmed this to Reuters after Islamabad launched a major military operation against India in the night between 9th and 10th. The National Command Authority is the top body for civilian as well as military officials that take serious security decisions, including those related to the nuclear arsenal of Pakistan. This could be saber rattling. I don't think we should fall for this propaganda, but clearly the Pakistanis seem to be ratcheting up. Last night, they're escalating it, going a couple of notches up the escalation ladder. India forced to respond, to retaliate to that. Now, some nuclear saber rattling as well by the Pakistani Prime Minister. He's called for a meeting of the National Command Authority, which will have the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, the Defense Minister, and of course, the heads of the armed forces as well, the Chief of Army Staff, Navy, and Air Force Staff. Let me go across to Aman Sharma, our political editor. He's joining us live from outside South Block. As we expect that press conference by the Foreign Secretary, as well as the individuals, the officers of the Army and the Navy. What's the reading in South Block, Aman? What is the big picture? Because this is a serious escalation that Pakistan has tried in the last 6-7 hours or so.
Well, Zaka, what I'm hearing right now is that top government sources are slamming the IMF bailout to Pakistan last evening. They are clearly saying what has happened since today morning underlines India's objections yesterday to IMF of the possibility of the misuse of the debt financing funds for state-sponsored cross-border strikes, terrorism by Pakistan. India is underlining this again, saying that the IMF bailout was completely mistimed and Pakistan actually was waiting for this money to start its big operation against India. India sources are saying that with billions in the bank, Pakistan is now putting missiles in the air against India. The world community needs to realize this, wake up to it, and what it has done by arming Pakistan again and again with these IMF funds. So I think at this press conference, which we will see at 10:30 a.m., India could raise this point that this IMF bailout is ending up arming Pakistan against India, and especially its terrorist activity and the escalatory ladder that Pakistan is on. See, Zaka, government sources are very, very clear that the original escalation is of April 22nd, the Pahalgam attack, which Pakistan did. India did its offensive on May 7th, 96 hours ago, by doing Operation Sindoor, but only targeting terrorist infrastructure of Pakistan, not targeting any military infrastructure, not targeting the civilian population. The targeting of the military infrastructure, that cycle, Zaka, Indian government sources are saying, has been started by Pakistan. On the morning of May 8th, we saw the first these 300 to 400 drones trying to attack our front air bases. And today morning, with missiles, Pakistan is trying to take out our multiple air bases, Pathankot, Udhampur. All these attacks have been foiled, but Pakistan intention is very clear to take up this escalatory ladder, and they stopped till the IMF payout. They didn't do it. It was more an intel exercise, this drone which were flown. But now this is the ultimate attack by Pakistan, and India is responding very, very strongly. India has decided that if you will target our military infrastructure, we will take out your military infrastructure as well. And India has targeted Rawalpindi's airbase. This is deep inside Pakistan, Zaka, and this is a big, big message to Pakistan that if Pakistan does not stop here, India will go to any lengths to teach Pakistan a firm lesson. We'll hear more about it at the 10:30 briefing. I think I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think Indian government is very, very upset over this IMF bailout, and is very clearly saying that Pakistan is to blame for this escalation ladder that we are on.
And just very quickly, there was some note or some justification of why India abstained at the IMF meeting yesterday. What's the rationale? What's the reasoning behind that?
Zaka, the government says that basically there is no option to say a no to a vote. You can either abstain or say yes. That has been the convention at the IMF, and IMF has many member countries, but every member country is not like one member, one vote. Your economic strength actually has a larger proportion in the vote there. So there are many questions being asked, Zaka, here also, that, why did the US not come out strongly to block this bailout for the IMF for Pakistan? So a lot of questions are being asked in the Indian security establishment, because India yesterday put up a very, very strong objection to this IMF bailout. India was also preparing for it for the last 2 to 3 days, knowing very well that if Pakistan gets this money, it could, the escalation in fact could climb, and India's fears are only coming true. The world community needs to sit up and realize that, what it has done yesterday. And I think India is going to strongly protest about this at the press conference as well, I believe.
All right, Aman, thanks for that. We'll come back to you at the 10 o'clock press conference, 10:30 press conference. Now, Anand, you have the images of the intercept
See,
of the ballistic missile?
this is over the Sirsa skies and what looks to be a portion of the Fateh missile. So this is from Sirsa. It's landed on a field. It was intercepted on the skies of Sirsa. I'm going to check with our team if we can put out the map and also the visuals. We can split it on this wall so that our viewers can understand the map graphics and with these visuals, because it's landed on Sirsa. And why this Sirsa is important, because this Fateh missile, this ballistic missile, many believe was intended towards the national capital. It was intended towards Delhi. We'll try and show you these visuals and then try and split it here on this wall itself with the map graphics and these pictures, because then you can understand where this is. So if you can just pull this out, put this out, and just the map, because where Sirsa is, we need to understand where Sirsa is. Sirsa and the trajectory of the missile, many believe, was headed towards the national capital. And this is the big portion. This is the big portion. This is the big portion of the back end of the Fateh missile. So you'll see the tail, and that's the tail portion of the Fateh missile. Now you see these are authorities who are already there. The local police is already there, cordoning off, and now they're taking them away. It's being carted away. The portions have been now lifted, put on the back of a big vehicle, a pickup truck, and then they'll be carted. This is the big shot. Now, this is the picture. Now, look at this. This is the Fateh missile back end. Now, if you have seen pictures of Pakistan flaunting the Fateh missile, the rear end of this portion with the wings and this is exactly similar to the design of the Fateh missile. And that's the reason why the ballistic missile launched towards the national capital. That is the level of escalation that Pakistan has triggered soon after the IMF bailout. So within 15 minutes of the IMF bailout at 12:05 a.m., that's when this was first reported or registered, that the possibility of ballistic missiles being fired towards Bharat. And later in the night, the confirmation coming, this has landed, it's been intercepted. So our air defense systems, the Indian forces air defense systems, are capable of thwarting even ballistic missiles. This is the biggest proof of it, and perhaps egg on the face of the Pakistanis at multiple levels. But more importantly, how treacherous Pakistan can be. This missile has landed on a field in Haryana, in Sirsa, and this is where it is. Now have a look at this. This is Sirsa. This is where this missile has landed. Look at the trajectory. Where is the national capital? The trajectory of this missile was towards the national capital. That's what many people are expecting this. We are going to wait for confirmation during the media briefing that this missile, these are portions of the missile. Again, more pictures coming through, more small fragments that after this entire missile was disintegrated, it was demolished, it was intercepted, and fragments have landed all across in Sirsa, in Haryana. And understand this, Sirsa, this is the range, this was the direction. This is the national capital region. So that's the reason why this big question is being asked. Was this ballistic missile, along with a few others that were fired by the Pakistanis, intended not just as military installations, but also perhaps certain portions of the national capital? And if that is something which is confirmed, if it is confirmed in the briefing today, that is serious escalation by the Pakistanis. And more importantly, this has come after the IMF bailout, where they tried to play with a begging bowl saying, help us out. $137 billion overextension of their debt to the world, and they continue to borrow and redirect this money towards acts of war. Clear acts of war, clear acts of military escalation by Pakistan, when Bharat's fight has been only against terror. It was a war on terror, not a war against Pakistan, but the Pak military, the Pak state is backing jihadis, terrorists, jihadi tanzeems, and this is what they are willing to launch ballistic missiles because Bharat has waged a war on terror. Zaka.
A massive escalation, no doubt about it. You had, these swarms of drones, unarmed drones, no explosives there. Then you had explosive-laden drones. Then you had these short-range missiles, and now you have the ballistic missile. This is a medium-range Fatah 2 missile, a range of about 400 kilometers, directed en route to Delhi, and it was intercepted in the skies over Haryana. And those pictures that Anand was showing, quite dramatic, that the manner in which it's been intercepted as well. Of course, India's air defense systems working round the clock into the T. Let me go across to Arun Danta and Arunima, both of whom are joining us. So what's the word in Delhi this Saturday morning, Arun Danta? Clearly, the government is closely following all of these developments. It's been a very hot night. Escalation by Pakistan, India responding for good measure. What is the reading in government this Saturday morning?
That's right, Zaka. Yesterday that was the reason why you saw those long meetings taking place here. Prime Minister Modi chaired 3-4 important meetings. In fact, the last meeting concluded somewhere around 12 with the Foreign Secretary and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, and we were told that in fact the RAW Chief and NSAG Dowell, IB Chief, they all were present in that meeting. Before that, of course, we saw that the review meeting conducted by Prime Minister Modi with Rajnath Singh, three Tri-Services Chief, NSA, in fact, RAW Chief and IB Chief were present in that. And also, before that, there was a meeting with the veterans and the former chiefs of different forces of the country. And in fact, they were, of course, expecting some sort of misadventure by Pakistan yesterday night, and that's the reason why we saw that India was in fact ready for any sort of action. That's the reason why we saw that how Indian forces have retaliated to Pakistan's drones or the ballistic missiles which they fired. And of course we know that Prime Minister Modi is very closely monitoring the situation. It's been 4-5 days since when we are given to understand that Prime Minister Modi has been awake during the night, has been constantly in touch with the NSA Ajit Doval. At this point, I'm outside the residence of Prime Minister Modi. It seems calm at this point, but perhaps the way action is taking place, you will see flurry of meetings.
I think there will be meetings in the next few hours. Thanks for that, Arun. We'll be in touch with you. Arunima is also joining us, but we got this breaking news. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, let's go to that breaking news. Marco Rubio has now spoken directly to the Pakistan Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir. This happened just a few hours ago. This is the first conversation that any international official has had directly with the Pakistani Army Chief. Remember, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia was in Islamabad just last night. He was part of that meeting that was hosted by the Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. But this direct call between Marco Rubio and the Chief of Army Staff, General Munir, is an important one. It's the first conversation that an international official has had with General Munir. We'll try and get Siddhant. Siddhant is on the phone line. So Rubio has spoken with the Pakistani NSA, who's also the DGISI, General Malik. But now a direct conversation with General Munir, who, of course, the ball is really in his court. If he stops, then India will stop.
But yes, that's the message. That's exactly the message, Zaka. And in fact, last time around, Marco Rubio spoke to Shehbaz Sharif. But perhaps Marco Rubio also must have realized that Shehbaz Sharif is ineffective and he's just a puppet prime minister. And this is the reason that he's speaking to the real boss of Pakistan, perhaps the mastermind of Pahalgam terror attack, Asim Munir. And in fact, Reuters is reporting, Zaka, that this conversation has taken place. And as we were speaking before also, that US wants both sides to de-escalate. In fact, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also said that President wants both sides to de-escalate. Perhaps US is also giving efforts in the same direction. This is the second telephonic conversation that Marco Rubio had with the Pakistani side. In fact, last time he spoke to Shehbaz Sharif, that call was really ineffective. Nothing happened after that. So today he decided to speak directly to Asim Munir, the Army General. Perhaps it also reflects upon, and perhaps it's once again established that, who runs the show in Pakistan. And if US wants Pakistan to de-escalate, then US has to speak directly to the Army General, not somebody from the political.
We've got an update from the ADG PI of the Indian Army as well. We'll go to Arunima with this. Basically, the ADG PI putting out a tweet saying Pakistan's blatant escalation with drone strikes and other munitions continues along our western borders. In one such incident today, approximately around 5 a.m., multiple enemy drones were spotted flying over the Khasa Cant, the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed by our air defense units. So now we're getting to hear of multiple such drone and missile attacks. Arunima, you're in North Block, South Block. Whereabouts are you? And what is the word in from government this morning?
Yes, so the Raisina Hills is abuzz with activities. South Block has had called for a press conference at about 5:30, but I think this is the air operation which led them to postponement. And now at 10:30, the Foreign Secretary is likely to brief. What ADGPI has put out is that at about 5 a.m. this morning, there were multiple enemy armed drones that were spotted over the Khasa camp in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed, and Pakistan's blatant attempt to violate India's sovereignty and endanger civilians' life is unacceptable. 3 civilians have been killed in what has happened since last night, including one district level official there in Rajouri. And what the border security force has also put out is that while the Jammu air base was getting targeted around 9 p.m., 2100 hours last night, there was intense firing at the Jammu stretch of the international border as well. So back to back 2 days now, we've seen. Day before yesterday, we saw it in Samba. Yesterday at Jammu, attempts to also carry out infiltration while these air raids are going on. Yesterday, they had shot dead 7 from the Jaish-e-Mohammed module in Samba. Yesterday, also BSF confirming that there was firing at the Jammu sector, and now ADGPI confirming that there were hostile drones over Amritsar as early as this morning 5 a.m. Around the same time, tentatively, we were told there was a dogfight in Srinagar, and for that we're still waiting for the ADGP and for the Air Command to tell us exactly what is the situation. But definitely things have escalated in the last 24 hours.
All right, I also want to go across to Akash Sharma, who is more on this. So the Army's first official statement this morning, the ADGPI saying there's some hostile drones, a swarm of drones over the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar, and those have been neutralized. Akash, what more are you hearing?
Right. So first of all, two important things in this tweet by the ADGPI. First one, that they are somewhere acknowledging the attack launched towards Amritsar today in the morning that we had also reported Zaka. And second, that they are saying the message is loud and clear that it cannot be accepted. Armed forces are in fact reacting since morning, and we have been learning, as Arunima pointed out, the dogfight, of course, the air defense, thwarting the attempts and destroying the enemy drones, and also Indian Army destroying the enemy posts. So a number of things are happening, but civilians are somewhere affected, Zaka. I have been mentioning this since morning, that while they are targeting the military infrastructure, they are also possibly targeting and intentionally targeting, civilian properties. And this is the reason why we have these images like such that I'm showing you in the visuals in the backdrop. Zaka, Indian Army and in fact Indian Armed Forces are going to brief us officially in some time from now, where we'll get to know as to what was the sort of action that was taken last night in retaliation. Of course, we know that how their air defense systems at different Air Force stations in Pakistan were targeted and in fact destroyed. But as far as other information is concerned and other inputs are concerned, so we are waiting for that particular brief. I'll once again try to show you the visuals there. There you can see the damage. Zaka, it was it is not in fact confirmed as to what it was. I'm showing you those broken glasses of that particular window there. People are also talking about some sort of projectile and then the splinters. So possibly it can be a kamikaze drone that hit the building and then got destroyed. So we are waiting for the confirmation. Okay. But looking at the damage, it seems so. There you have the main target was that building. Rajesh ji, if you can show that building was the main target, Zaka, and then okay, I believe CM is there. Yes, CM is there, and I'll try to.
All right, we'll come back to you, Akash, in a moment as you try to go across and see if we can get a soundbite from Omar Abdullah. But the ADGPI's tweet showing these pictures as well. Those are the remnants of the Pakistani drone that was sighted above the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. Arunima is also there with us. I can see some wheels. I'm not sure what the wheels are. Clearly, it seems to have hit something on the ground. Those are the remnants, the wreckage that you can see from the drones that were sent over the Amritsar cantonment. Arunima, what more do we know?
So there's also a video that has been tweeted out by the ADGPI handle. I think it is showing how the drone attack, the hostile drone attack, was taken down, and these pictures, gives you a sense of the marking that you see. YHAPFWH. The filling date is mentioned there. The filled lot is mentioned. The explosive lot, the weight, the total. So this looks like an ammunition that was being carried with the drone that the ADGPI has tweeted out. The ammunition and the remains of the drones, and also the time when the drone was intercepted. So there's visual proof, there's video evidence that is now being given out, and this is a trend that we have seen ever since Operation Sindoor has begun. And top government sources, government functionaries actually confirmed this to me, that after Balakot and after the surgical strike post Uri, there was a lot of question mark, and Pakistan tried to negate the surgical strike by saying that nothing has happened really here. But this time India has gone prepared with technological advancement. Also, it is better prepared. It's putting out evidence to show Pakistan's complicity. All these labeling on the ammunition, the filling date, the batch number, the lot number is going to be shown to the international community to prove that Pakistan's escalation, and Pakistan is trying to target civilians, target our military base, escalate the entire situation. And Pakistan is definitely suffering a bloody nose by the way their misadventure is being countered by our air defense system.
All right, Arnab, we'll come back to you. That's the Indian Army statement. On the left, you're seeing images from Rahari in Jammu, where the Chief Minister, I believe, has gone to the residence of the affected victim there. I believe Akash is there for us. Akash, tell us, did Omar Abdullah say anything as he came into this in this house that's been hit yesterday by a Pakistani projectile? Did he say anything to the media, or are we waiting for him to come back and then speak to the media?
Not yet, Zaka. He has gone, upstairs to check the sort of damage that this property has received. Possibly he'll be, coming back and will be speaking to media. But this is important, given the fact that civilian properties are being targeted, and we have, received this sort of damage where not just this property, but the adjacent properties are also damaged. In fact, the vehicles that are standing on this particular road, Rajesh will show you the visual. In fact, have got damaged. We have these security officials who have been trying, who have been in fact trying to get the people away from this particular place. But then Omar Abdullah is very much here, and in fact he is expected to speak to media in some time from now. People are standing here, locals are standing here. They have been in fact saying since morning that they need some sort of action. Pakistan should be, there should be some sort of retaliation, and there should be some sort of answer to Pakistan. I was speaking to one lady, she was crying. She is saying that, this is her house and she could have lost her life in this particular attack. But at this point in time, I'm showing you the visuals where, CM has gone upstairs to check the sort of damage that this property has received, Zaka. And there you have civil defense volunteers, the Jammu Kashmir police, and also the CRP. In some time from now, it is expected that Omar Abdullah will be speaking to media. But yes, at least 10 people we have been told have sustained injuries in this particular attack in this vicinity, Zaka.
All right, Akash, thanks for that. Anand is also here as we try and bring you some pictures. There's been a whole bunch of pictures of remnants of drones, projectiles, missiles that have been spotted in different parts from Jammu to Jaisalmer. This is the picture of the home in Rehari. But Anand, this is what the ADGPI has just tweeted. This seems to be the wreckage of a drone over Amritsar cantonment.
See, not just the drone. Look at the size of the drone. These are not the small drones anymore. These are far bigger now, and they have these markings. So the ADGPI has also figured out the markings, and of course they had munition. They had a certain level of payload which was supposed to be for impact. So clearly the Pakistanis over the last 2 or 3 days have been sending drones without any munition as probing. And this is exactly what, there was a preparedness, there was an understanding what the Pakistanis are trying to do. But they underestimated Bharat's capabilities. They thought that over 2 days, the entire air defense system would have been used up and there would be a free passage for their missiles and for their drones with a huge amount of payload and munitions. So that is something that's been marked out, but they've been neutralized. They've been neutralized by our air defense systems, and perhaps the Pakistanis don't understand. They have a stomach for escalation only for 3 days. They cannot fight an intense war for more than 3 or 4 days. That's the reality. Bharat is ready for 6 months. Bharat is ready for 6 months, and if required, more. That's the difference. So they don't know who they are taking panga with, and the fact is that this is egg on the face again for 4 nights in a row for General Asim Munir. 4 nights in a row, he's just met with more failures. And on the other hand, look at the losses. The Noor Khan airbase in Pindi has not just been destroyed, but there is a huge reversal for the Pakistanis there. Their machines can't take off because they have been rendered ineffective across 3 air bases. That's what's happened. But here, this time around, the locals need to be aware. Our hearts go and our prayers with those who are having material loss of, because of their houses and their fields being damaged, and also because of people who are getting injured or loss of lives of civilians. But please don't go close to any of these munitions. That's the important part. Stay away, stay clear, because some of these may be live munitions.
So
Yes, Zaka.
we're getting live pictures of Omar Abdullah just coming out from that house in Rehari. I believe he's speaking to the media. If we can go to those pictures. Omar Abdullah has gone to an affected home in Rehari in Jammu. Can we show those pictures, please? Yeah, there you go. That's the affected home. He's just come out. He's, I think, met with the individuals there. In Rajouri also, one district collector officer district collector rank officer has lost his life. In all, 5 civilians have lost their life in Jammu. Akash is there. Akash, Omar still inside the house. Is he making his way out? Has he said anything to the media yet?
Saka, I cannot hear you. Omar Abdullah is still, assessing the situation. In fact, is taking a stock of the situation. In fact, he has gone inside the second house where the lady, who owns this house has gone, in fact, inside and is somewhere briefing the chief minister as to what actually happened, at what time, and what was the intensity. And then there he is coming out. Possibly, we'll try to speak to him as well as to now when civilians are targeted and their properties are targeted. What is All right. So, it has in fact gone to some third property now, and in some now he is expected to speak to media. But then at this point in time, this is very important. There is a series, in fact, of houses, in fact, which have in fact received this sort of damage, where we have been told that there was possibly a drone that hit the building and then got exploded, and because of those splinters, we have the nearby properties, also got damaged. And in fact, the vehicles that are standing here, you can see the debris there on this particular car, and a lot of people are standing here at this point in time, and they are very furious because of the fact that they have been saying that we are seeing these actions on a daily basis now, and now some sort of strong retaliation should be there from the Indian Armed Forces.
They'll come back to you, Akash, as and when the Chief Minister comes out. He's visiting multiple houses which have been affected in Rehari. Yes, Anand, you were showing us the ADGPI the tweet and the video.
Let's go back to the pictures. The fact is that we'd go back to now. This has payload. Now, the only thing for our viewers and whoever are there in these local areas have to be that if there are fragments, portions that fall of debris or destroyed missiles, etc., or drones, just stay clear of them. Don't go and touch any of these parts, because a lot of them seem to have live munitions. The ADGPI has actually circled out, and this is live payload. So with the aim, with the intent to destroy, destruct, and hurt, and it's ballistic missiles, there are other projectiles, there's loitering munition, and also drones with a certain level of capability. If you see the wheels on these drones, it surely shows that it was carrying a significant level of payload with the intent of trying to drop and then perhaps head back. Though you can see these. So we have to see the nature, and a lot of these are either Turkey made or China made, these drones. Now, these are the houses. Omar Abdullah is there at this residence. Is he coming out? I don't think he's speaking to the media. He's stepping out. These are live visuals coming through. The media is trying to speak with him, but he's not speaking. He's just going to meet the families, and perhaps he'll move away from this location and then speak to the media later on. He's actually tweeted, and he said that he's alarmed at the fact that the international community has allowed this entire, bailout. And I think there is going to be, Zaka, Pallavi is getting us more information that Bharat is going to push for a serious reconsideration of this bailout that's been given to the Pakistanis. This is treachery, and this is deliberate escalation. You said Marco Rubio has dialed General Munir, but the dialing has to go to the IMF. How did they approve this bailout without understanding Pak's intent? Look at what they've done. They're attacking civilian installations, a temple near Jammu. That lady is actually turned around and said, "Bahut ho gaya, Modi ji, ab maro inko." Bahut ho gaya. We've shown enough and more of restraint, because they don't seem to learn. Omar Abdullah himself is very, very peeved. If you look at it, he's also showing great amount of restraint in his emotions when he's tweeting as a chief minister. He's putting out and saying, look what the Pakistanis are doing and look what the international community has allowed. I think there is a serious dissent and dissonance with the IMF for what they have done in a situation like this. You can't go and give a nation which is actually standing for according state funerals to jihadis and proscribed terrorists. You can't give them a $1.3 billion bailout. And that's what the IMF has gone ahead and done.
All right, we're getting that piece of breaking news now. Top official government sources telling Pallavi Ghosh that India will go back to the International Monetary Fund and ask them to reconsider the bailout that's been given to Pakistan. It's over $1 billion. It's part of the $7 billion tranche, the agreement between the IMF and Pakistan over a 4-year period. India shall use international pressure, diplomatic pressure, to wake the conscience of the IMF. Operation Sindoor is no way for closure. India has not and will not target civilians. The opposite is what Pakistan is doing. Pallavi Ghosh, tell us more. I mean, ultimately, look, if the Americans who have 17% weightage on the IMF board, if they say no, this bailout can be cancelled. But why haven't the Americans said that? And what is India's strategy from here on out?
That's exactly the question which India is asking. Why is it that America said no? Because Donald Trump's earlier statement, where he said that we've given $3.3 billion to Pakistan, but we've got nothing out of them, they've done nothing for us. That is something which India is going to use effectively against Americans as well, and make the point to them that you may be one of the largest contributors to the IMF. I know this logic is going around, your money, we use it the way we want to. That's at least how the stakeholders of the IMF were talking about. But the point is that isn't an international organization also to be held accountable? And they also to ensure that the money that they're using and giving out is actually used for a good cause, or at least for the cause what it is meant to. You know, Zaka, if you look at the note which was released by the government of India yesterday in its response to IMF, and the statement which India made at the IMF meeting yesterday was that we leave it to your morality to decide how that money should be given and whether you should give a bailout to Pakistan because they have been an official offender. I think it's this conscience awakening call which is now being taken by the government, and therefore
All right,
they're going to
Pallavi,
go
I'm
back,
sorry to interrupt, but apparently there's some air activity where Akash is. He's in Rehari in Jammu. Akash, yes.
Zaka, I'm showing you the visuals, possibly some air activity. There I'm showing you the clouds there. We have this, okay, we have been asked to go inside because, you know, because there are, in fact, some attempts, there were some attempts, in fact, these attempts have been spotted. I'm showing you the visuals of the air activities. I'm also, you know, hearing some sort of roar, possibly, you know, of the jets, but there I'm showing you the visuals of the clouds where we have that white smoke. And in fact, we have been told that there is some fresh attempt possibly when CM was here, Zaka.
All right, that seems to be some activity there, some air activity. The reporters have been asked to move inside. These are the remnants of the damaged buildings in Rehari. So these are deferred pictures as well. We'll come back to you, Akash, as and when we can establish some confirmation of what kind of air activity there is. You could hear sirens in the background as well. There you can see an official asking Akash to move in. I believe the 3 defense chiefs have also reached South Block. There is a high-level meeting going on, and this will continue. This will continue through the day. If you're joining us at 9 o'clock this morning, these are the big headlines. It's been a hot night between India and Pakistan at the line of control at the international border. Let's bring you up to speed with what you should know in this escalating situation between India and Pakistan. Headline number 1, Pakistan's Fatah missile that was aimed at Delhi has been intercepted and downed over Haryana. You can see the images there, massive remnants that have been left behind, the wreckage that's been left behind. This is a ballistic missile, 400-kilometer range, was in the direction of Delhi, but it's been intercepted over the skies of Haryana. And you can see it's fallen, the wreckage has fallen in the open fields there in Haryana. The villagers taking those pictures earlier this morning. Headline number 2, it's not just in Haryana, in Srinagar, in the Lasjan area, in the outskirts of Srinagar, parts of what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet, which was brought down in a dogfight. That wreckage landed up in the backyard of a residential complex. The individual whose house it was, where this wreckage was found, he is, of course, now speaking with the authorities. He has taken these pictures in what is believed to be the wreckage of a downed Pakistani fighter jet. Headline number 3, India has managed to intercept Pakistani drones. These are 2 sets of images, CCTV images. This is the second set showing the wreckage after the interception happened. This is in the Jammu Narwal sector, the interception happening there. That's the first set of images, the interception happening in the night sky. And then the second set, which shows the destroyed Pakistani drones and the launch pad that was used by Pakistan to launch those drones. So you can see fire and smoke up in the fields in Jammu. Headline number 4, a part of a drone has also been found in Amritsar. You had the ADGPI. This part is what was found in rural Amritsar. You can see the fields there, the fields being ready for the next season. You can see the part of the wreckage. That's clear that these are drones in rural Amritsar. The ADGPI also tweeted the drone that was visible in the Amritsar Cant, in the Khasa Cant in Amritsar. that too has been brought down by India's air defense system. Headline number 5: a Pakistan projectile has been found in Lasjan in Srinagar. Ishan was there. This is the same area where you saw the wreckage of what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet being brought down after a dogfight. What that is will be established by the authorities. Our Ishan Wani was there reporting from the backyard of that residential complex where which is the point of impact. Headline number 6: a bomb-like object was found in a place called Jamla village in Pokhran in rural Rajasthan, in the deserts of Pokhran, Rajasthan. The Indian Army managed to neutralize this drone and missile attack in the sky, and what you're seeing is wreckage of that missile. Headline number 7: Pakistan targeting civilian areas. That's where our Akash Sharma was reporting from in Rehari. Multiple homes have been targeted. There's a temple called the Shambhu Temple in Jammu that has also been targeted. Overall, in Jammu, 5 people, I'm afraid, have died, both in artillery shelling as well as in Pakistani projectiles that have been hitting parts of Jammu overnight in the last 6 or 7 hours. So Jammu seems to be badly affected because of the overnight escalation of projectile, drone and missile attacks from Pakistan into India and India's response. Headline number 8: there are damaged parts of a drone that's been found in the Narsu area in Udhampur. Udhampur, of course, the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command. We don't know what nature this drone is. You can see the Army officials there taking away the remnants of this. This is from Narsu area in Udhampur. Security forces are on the spot. I can report to you there is no damage to the Udhampur air station or any part of the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command. Headline number 9: amid the escalating attacks by Pakistan, the Indian Army has released a statement. The ADGPI has put out a statement saying that multiple armed drones were spotted flying over the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed by India's air defense units. Pakistan's blatant attempt to violate the sovereignty and endanger civilians is unacceptable. And headline number 10: Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has reached Rehari, which is the part where the civilian part that's been affected. 3 or 4 homes have been damaged there. There have been 5 casualties in all of Jammu. Omar Abdullah meeting with the victims, meeting with their families there, spending some time with the individuals who were affected. And of course, he's now left from there. As we sort of bring you up to speed with what is happening here in the national capital, all 3 service chiefs are at the Ministry of Defense. They're in North Block right now, even as we speak. We're given to understand that further details of what the discussions are will be known as well. Remember, at 10:30, there is going to be the briefing by the Foreign Secretary. If we can have a reporter to try and get a sense of the meeting that they're having right now, and they're likely to meet with the Raksha Mantri, Rajnath Singh, as well in the next few minutes. Arunima is joining us live. Arunima, yes.
Yes, the 3 service chiefs have arrived in South Block. There is a string of briefings and meetings that is going on in South Block at the moment. The situation is now under control. The assessment part is now on. We have seen ADGPI put out details of the munition that has been used in Amritsar, drones which were carrying the munition as their payloads, the way they were taken down, and the details, the markings on the payload, all of that have been put out in the public domain. Assessment of the situation all the way from Udhampur to Jammu and also in Jaisalmer, that's on. There's a high likelihood that Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh could also meet the 3 service chiefs shortly. By afternoon, after the press conference by the Foreign Secretary has ended, there's also a possibility of the Prime Minister being briefed by the National Security Advisor and the Raksha Mantri as well. One thing that one must highlight is that the deliberate misinformation that is going on from Pakistani social media handles, most of them have been blocked by India, but international media is picking up some of those and India is countering them. One of which said that, an Indian Air Force jet has been down. Then another misinformation was that the S-400 missile system has been damaged. All of these being denied officially by Government of India.
No, Arunima, I was just coming to that the PIB needs to fact check things a little faster and perhaps in a little more active manner. They've been doing a fantastic job. But Pakistan's disinformation campaign continues. They are trying to claim that some brigade headquarters has been destroyed and that some bases, they've even named the airfields have been destroyed, etc. They've also said that some storage of missile-based storage system has also been destroyed, along with downing of jets. And like you said, some of our air defense systems being destroyed. All of these are not factual. They're all false. But there is a tendency that वो कहते हैं ना अरुणिमा, if I can say that, कि जब तक सच खड़ा होकर अपनी बात कहता है, झूठ पूरा शहर घूम के आ जाता है. So that is something which is happening, and this is a massive disinformation campaign that the Pakistanis have tried to launch. And that is something that needs to be countered far more effectively. The PIB is doing a fantastic job, but they need to be a little more quick on the counter.
Yes, and the problem is that even though we are checking and putting out information that has been verified, there are international media houses, since these are Pakistani official handles which are putting out baseless information. There are a lot of international news outlets that are picking up, quoting Pakistani sources. Let me give you a string of disinformation that has happened since early this morning. First, Pakistani media claim that the Udhampur air base has been damaged. It has been categorically denied by the Indian Air Force and by South Bloc that none of our air bases have suffered any damage, be it Pathankot, be it Jammu or Udhampur. Next, they said that in Chandigarh, a missile depot has been damaged. Again, something negated by South Bloc. We just spoke about the S-400 missile system. Pakistan has claimed, and international news outlets have picked this up, that our S-400 missile defense system, our air defense system has been damaged as well. Completely baseless, denied. They have put out old photographs and said that Indian fighter jets have crashed in their operation that began last night post midnight. Again, India has fact checked, saying this is an old video which is being recirculated. So
Right.
yes, both the South Bloc and the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting negating the lies of Pakistan.
Right. Thanks for that, Arunima, and I think we'll continue to put that out. And kudos to the PIB; they're working very, very hard. These are times of where war is at multiple levels. Bharat is waging a war on terror, but the Pakistan military and the Pakistan state seems to have unleashed a war against Bharat itself at various levels, and they are very devious. The enemy is very devious. They will use a lot of disinformation, and their aim is to also create and divide Bharatiya people based on communal lines or other lines. And we have to mount a collective effort. A whole of Bharat approach has to be mounted. Let's quickly go across to Siddhant Mishra joining us at this point. Siddhant, Marco Rubio has picked up the phone and spoken to General Munir. What does this indicate? In the meantime, Bharat is also launching a massive non-kinetic counter because it's a diplomatic offense on the IMF bailout. So take us through what's happening on the non-kinetic front. Yes.
Well, as far as non-kinetic front is concerned, Anand, then this morning we received a statement from foreign ministers of G7 countries. In fact, they have condemned Pahalgam terror attack, and in fact, they urge both sides to de-escalate. Perhaps coming to your question, Marco Rubio is speaking directly to Asim Munir, signifies that US knows who is calling the shots in Pakistan, point number one. Point number two, last time around, Marco Rubio rejected his counterpart, Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, and spoke directly to Shehbaz Sharif. But then US also realized that nothing is going to happen because Shehbaz Sharif is a puppet prime minister. So today, they decided to speak directly to Asim Munir. So, this message should go out loud and clear to the world that who is running this country. Point number one. Point number two, that there was a surprise visit from Saudi Arabia, Anand. In fact, we were the first one to report that. And the Saudi Deputy Prime Minister met EM S. Jaishankar. In fact, we have also been told that he called on Prime Minister Modi, though there were no photographs released by the Indian side regarding that particular meeting. Yesterday, he was in Islamabad. The pictures were released by Shehbaz Sharif's office of him and Asim Munir meeting Saudi envoy. And today, Saudi Arabia has confirmed in a statement that they are giving efforts to mediate, mediate so that de-escalation can take place between India and Pakistan. We have also been told, Anand, though I don't have an independent confirmation on this, that it could be that US and Saudi Arabia both are giving joint efforts to de-escalate situation, perhaps putting pressure on Pakistan, Asim Munir and generals of Pakistan to de-escalate and step back. Perhaps this is what I could sense at this point in time, because this morning call to Asim Munir perhaps shows that Marco Rubio must have blasted at Asim Munir for his misadventures and something which has happened in the region which never happened since 1971. What the region witnessed last night. It's all because of Asim Munir. US is very angry, very upset with Army General Asim Munir.
Right. Looks like the international community needs to be made apprised of, and that picture that was shown with Hafiz Abdul Rauf leading the prayers with the Pak military personnel standing right behind, and Pakistan giving state funeral to jihadis and terrorists, and a US proscribed terrorist leading those prayers, perhaps was not seen by the quote unquote international community that has handed out this 1.3 billion bailout to Pakistan. So and now there are reports coming through that there is a checkered past of the DG ISPR Ahmad Sharif Chaudhry itself, and somewhere his connections to yet another group of jihadis and terrorists, and connections to Osama bin Laden. All this perhaps lost on the international community. Let's hope that the PIB machinery facts check and also puts it out, and the diplomatic machinery puts out these facts to the world to see those who they think are benign have gone ballistic over Bharat with ballistic missiles. So that's what happened. Let's look at this. Pak jets down. Pak jets have been downed. 2 of them in Jammu and Kashmir region, one around in Srinagar, one in North Kashmir. So this is confirmed wreckage that's seen there. We'll get you more details. And let's hope that in that briefing, all these details are put out. There is munitions with payload, drones that have been downed, and also in Pokhran there is a missile, a ballistic missile that's been seen. Another ballistic missile that's been noted is here in Sirsa. There are also a drone launch pad on the other side, Jammu international border. Pak military post with tube drones has been tube drone launch pad that's been negated, and that post was also a launch pad for terrorists. So that's been totally demolished. This is Lasjan Srinagar, again confirmation of projectiles falling and also possible debris of an aircraft that's been downed by the Indian Air Defense System, by our forces. Parts of a drone that's been found. This is a far bigger drone, and this perhaps was also carrying payload. The ADGPI has also confirmed where they've put pictures, a drone-like object found at multiple places. Suspected drone hits. There are civilian areas that have been hit by drones. Homes have been destroyed or demolished or have suffered damage. Civilians have died. One lady has died. There is an employee or an administrative officer in the Jammu and Kashmir ministry who's been hurt or who's lost his life. Our salutes to them. There are people, civilians, who are getting injured. There are some damages that have happened to certain military installations. That's what's being claimed, but nothing that is stopping any of the operations. And all claims made by the Pakistani military and Pakistan is nothing but disinformation. All our systems are intact. All our defense mechanisms are intact, and we have given them a bloody nose. That's what we've done. Now, this is another news. A missile-like projectile or a object has been found in the village of Samastipur under Adanpur in Jalandhar. Now, the discovery of this missile has caused a certain amount of worry in the locals, but the cops have already reached the spot. Now, you can see the markings. These are Pak markings. These are Pak markings, and this is again at least an 8-10 feet projectile that's been found. Was it carrying? What kind of payload it was carrying? We'll have to wait and see. Sometimes there could also be drop tanks of certain aircraft that could be seen. So we have to wait for verification from the ADGPI and from our official sources to see what this is. Yes, Anshul.
So yes, this debris has yet again been found. This time this debris that has been found has actually been found in Jalandhar, but the agencies are at spot. They are trying to figure out as to what could this debris be. But in all likelihood, this is looking like a debris that was actually destroyed by the anti-defense systems of our country, and hence these whatever this missile is or whatever this object is. This object was not able to fulfill its mission to carry out any sort of destruction or carry out any sort of an attack on our territory. This was in fact destroyed by our air defense systems, and now this has fallen. But yes, the initial investigations are underway at this point in time. The debris has now been picked up by the agencies, and now the first testings have started.
Anshul, very quickly, Adampur also happens to be a big Air Force base. Are authorities there, local police there, saying whether that was the target of the attack and it's been intercepted en route?
Well, yes. This is what is being said by the authorities over here, that the Air Force base was being targeted, much like what is happening in places like Udhampur and Pathankot as well, where they are trying to target our Air Force bases. But our air defense systems are very, very active and doing a great job at this point in time, thwarting each and every attempt that is made by the enemy state of Pakistan.
Okay, thanks, Anshul, for that. So you can add Adampur also to that list. So both Pathankot and Adampur, 2 big Air Force stations that India has. in the Northern Command. Both of them have been targeted. Of course, all of these have been reprised as well. So there's been no damage at all. And that's what top IAF sources have told CNN News 18, that there's been no damage at all to any of our aircraft or to our S-400 air defense systems. Siddhant is also there with us. Akash, if we can go across to Akash, he's in Rehari in Jammu. We'll try and go across to him in just a moment. So the big picture, if you're joining us at close to 9:30 in the morning on Saturday, the 10th of May, it's been a hot night between India and Pakistan. There are multiple missile, drone, even a ballistic missile attack that Pakistan launched on India. India has responded to each one of those. Our air defense systems have busted each of these attacks. And in response, India has taken down 2 or 3 important Pakistani Air Force air stations, including the biggest one in Noor Khan, which used to be called the Chaklala Air Base, one of the biggest that Pakistan has. That's been the attempt, of course, was to try and render the runway useless. Then there is the Murid Air Base just a little further down. And then you have the Surakot Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base in Surakot in southern Punjab. But remember, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation, fake news that's doing the rounds as well. So the PIB, the Press Information Bureau, and their website and their social media handles have put out this. There is a claim by some Pakistani social media handles suggesting that the S-400 air defense systems, which India managed to procure from Russia, there is some disinformation doing the rounds that there's been damage to the S-400 systems. That news is absolutely fake. It's been now put out in the PIB fact check, their website, as well as their social media handles. And maybe we can have one of our anchors from our newsroom on our plasma screen showing that from time to time. So don't believe any of these fake stories, this disinformation, this misinformation. We'll try and get Griha or someone to go up there and show that to us in a second. But I also want to go across to Akash and try and get a sense, Akash. Now, you know, the picture, the meta picture seems to be emerging. I'll come to Rehari in 1 second, but the meta picture, which is what our viewers want to know. Clearly, there have been attempts at some of our forward air bases and air force stations from Udhampur, Srinagar, Pathankot, certainly, even the one in Jalandhar. We will get further information. The pictures that we're showing, it seems like the Udhampur Air Force Station was the target. Of course, it was intercepted. And in response, India has taken down some of these leading frontline Air Force bases of Pakistan. What is the meta picture you're hearing from the Indian Air Force?
Right. So you rightly pointed out some of the Air Force stations, in Awantipur, in fact, Jalandhar and Pathankot as well, were on target. And in fact, Jammu was very much on target. And, these attempts were thwarted. We know that how not only drones, but missiles were fired. And we have been told that India strongly retaliated. And this is the reason why, we had a dogfight where we have a confirmation that dogfight indeed happened in Srinagar. And then the air defense also worked in a similar way. But Zaka, I want to highlight here, the Indian Air Force has officially denied that there is no impact or there is no hit, on S-400, air defense system. And in fact, there are several sort of locations that have been propagated by the Pakistani handles, and all of this information is in fact rebutted by the Indian Armed Forces, because this is very important at this point in time. Though we don't have access to these Pakistani handles, but yes, international media is somewhere picking the information, and the official version from Indian Armed Forces should be carried as well. And that's the reason why Indian Air Force has now come out in public and said that there is no damage or hit to any S-400 battery or the sort of system. Also, as far as these attacks are concerned, so Zaka, their primary target is, of course, the air assets, fighters, and the air defense systems as well. I was discussing it a bit earlier that how they have been targeting. They have, in fact, they want to try, S-400 and Akash missile system. One, they don't know the locations. Second, they want, and this is possibly the reason why they want to target all the, Air Force stations specifically that are very close to the borders.
Akash, they are masters at disinformation. They are masters at disinformation. The Pakistanis will try anything and everything. To all our viewers, to all those who are getting active on social media, let's do our job responsibly and let's stand up for our country. Let's not push any claim that's being made by any pro-Pakistani or Pakistani handle, because it's disinformation. Look at what our defense systems are capable of. Trust this. This is what, for 4 nights, not a single missile projectile has been able to find its mark. They've all been neutralized. This is a live picture of how our air defense systems, the Indian Armed Forces air defense systems, are neutralizing projectiles, missiles, loitering munitions sent by the Pakistanis. And this is all happening in the air. Listen to this. You can see the projectile trying to travel over the Indian airspace, and there you will see the flares first coming in, which are the distraction, and then the mechanism, how it works, and the entire projectile then being damaged, split into multiple parts, into shreds. It's being torn into shreds on our skies. So these are the fireworks courtesy the Indian Armed Forces. So these are the fireworks courtesy the Indian Armed Forces, and what's being blown to bits is the Pakistani devious intent. So have a look at this. Let's play the nats again. Let's look at the whole sequence. Have a look at the whole sequence.
Of Amritsar drone intercepts that are happening live. This is from early morning, so a couple of hours ago. So we should mention deferred pictures there as well. Tejinder, I believe that there is some anti-terror operation also that's happened in light of what's been happening, the hot situation both along the LC as well as the IB. What information do you have on that as we continue to show these pictures? These are the skies over Amritsar, where there is a live intercept happening of a swarm of drones sent in by Pakistan. This is from a few hours ago on the skies over Amritsar. But Tejinder, yes, go ahead.
Yes, Zaka, there is a massive anti-terror operation that has been launched by our security forces near the international border in Suchetgarh area of Araspura sector, where the locals informed the police that 4 suspected people carrying weapons, wearing salwar kameez, have been seen roaming around some vital military installations in the area. So now a massive operation has been launched by the army, by the BSF, and by the Special Operation Group of Jammu and Kashmir police to ascertain who these individuals are and whether they are a threat to us, and if they are, they have to be neutralized. If you remember, Zaka, just yesterday the BSF had said that a major infiltration bid was foiled by them in the Samba sector, wherein 7 intruders belonging to the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfit who tried to infiltrate into the Indian territory were shot down. So at a point when our security forces, especially the army, the air force, is engaged with the hostilities from the Pakistan side and giving a befitting response to Pakistan, the sources are telling us that Pakistan has activated its terror network in Jammu and Kashmir and have asked them to carry out certain attacks across Jammu and Kashmir. But the security apparatus in the entire region is on heightened alert, and all such nefarious attempts by the enemy, whether in the hinterland, on the line of control, or from across the line of control, would be foiled. Yes,
all right, Tejinder, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. These are still pictures that we are playing from Amritsar from a short while ago, a few hours ago. This is the early morning pictures. There's been a lot of focus on Amritsar for the last 2 or 3 nights. And the concern there, the worry there is that the Pakistanis might attempt something, fishy, something nefarious around the Golden Temple, which is, of course, the holiest site for Sikhs around the world. So far, all their attempts have been thwarted by the Indian air defense systems. But I also want to go across to Griha, who's joining us from the PIB fact-check wall here in our newsrooms. So the PIB handles have been putting out these fact checks of Chinese propaganda, Pakistani propaganda. The latest seems to be that the S-400 systems have been damaged. That lie has been busted. Griha.
Absolutely. That's the big thing that came out of Pakistan. It has been completely dissed by India. But let me also put across a few of the other fact checks that India has been constantly doing, Zaka. This is the Press Information Bureau. It has, in fact, put out several of these instances, like this one, where there was a claim that was made by a Pakistani handle that an old Indian Air Force crash really had happened. This was a claim that has been dissed by the PIB, where they have gone on to claim that several pro-Pakistan social media accounts are falsely claiming that 3 fighter jets, we're not just talking about one Indian Air Force jet, 3 fighter jets have crashed in different areas in the Himalayan region. But that's been completely dissed and a claim that this is fake, where the PIB says that this is an old IF crash photo circulated. It has got no link to the India-Pakistan situation. If we also take a look further, Zaka, there was a claim that was being put out through various social media posts asserting that a cyber attack by Pakistan has caused 70% of India's electricity grid to become dysfunctional. Claims that were floated by Pakistani handles. This claim is absolutely fake, is what, and these were the tweets, by the way, that the PIB has put out and branded as fake, and this fact check again by the Press Information Bureau. The third one, particularly, and this was the most bizarre one, of course, after the S-400, was social media claims where they said that India was trying to attack the Nankana Sahib Gurdwara. There was a drone attack at that Gurdwara. That also has been completely dissed, and they have claimed that this is a Khalistan propaganda, something that is absolutely fake. So these are the claims, and PIB is completely on their toes. They have been putting out these facts so that nobody falls for these misinformation, the disinformation campaign rather, coming in from that side of the border.
All right, Griha, we'll leave it at that. We'll check in with you from time to time about this massive disinformation campaign that's been undertaken by Pakistani social media handles that, of course, has been busted by the Press Information Bureau social handles as well as their website. I want to go across to Arunima, who's joining us from South Block. Siddhant is also joining us from South Block. There's a meeting, I believe, Arunima, of the three defense chiefs. In the next few minutes, I believe they will be meeting with Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, as well. So tell us, what is the assessment this Saturday morning in South Block as to what was the attempt, the escalation attempt by Pakistan yesterday, how India has retaliated and responded to that, and the damage that's been left behind in Pakistan to the air bases and to certain other locations in Pakistan. Tell us, what are you hearing first thing here Saturday morning?
See, I think it's a cliche now, Zaka, but the dialogue from the Bollywood film Uri is summing up the mood at South Block best. How's the Josh? Hi, sir. You saw the photograph yesterday also when the three service chiefs met Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh. They were in combat uniform but smiling, body language very relaxed. So that's the mood now also, that yes, we have managed to thwart Pakistan's evil designs for 3 nights in a row. We have managed to bring down, that's what we are hearing, even though officially there's no, perhaps in this press conference, Foreign Secretary will confirm, but we are hearing that there was a dogfight over Srinagar, and there is a local manhunt that has been launched to look for the Pakistani Air Force pilots who possibly ejected when their aircrafts were brought down. Amritsar, ADGPI has put out how Pakistani drones were brought down. They were carrying a payload of munition. The marking on the munition has also been put out, clearly showing what Pakistan's designs were. Overall, the situation across the international border, BSF kept a very close vigil in Jammu. Across the LOC, yes, we have lost 3 lives, including one district level official who was part of the relief and rescue. A shell landed at his own residence and he succumbed to his injuries later. 2 others, civilians, have also lost their lives. So yes, we are paying a price in terms of civilian lives, because Pakistan is focusing on targeting civilian areas, and that the establishment is also noting if there's a pattern, the way temple areas are being targeted, the way the Jammu temple was targeted. Similar pattern was seen in Uri also. I think Ishan sent us a ground report. Hindu dominated areas, temple areas. Is there a design? Because the entire Pahalgam attack, which was the initial escalation, was communal. They had asked for the religion and then killed. So is that communal agenda going ahead for Pakistan vis-a-vis targeting Gurudwara, targeting Hindu temples? That's also something that India is wanting to bust to the international community.
What's the international response? Is there any attempt to try and mediate or to try and get calmer heads to prevail? Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State and the acting National Security Advisor in the Trump administration, he's been making multiple phone calls. He's spoken with the Pakistani Prime Minister twice in the last 2 to 3 weeks since the Pahalgam attack. And then, of course, early this morning, he's spoken also directly with the Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan, General Asim Munir. What is the sense you're picking up from the international community? The Americans trying to have these phone calls, working the phones, the Saudi Deputy Foreign Minister in Delhi first, then in Islamabad. Siddhant, what more are you picking up?
Well, yes, that's right, Zaka. What I'm picking is that Saudi and Americans both are perhaps giving efforts to de-escalate tension between India and Pakistan. In fact, this phone call, which was made by Marco Rubio to Asim Munir, perhaps signifies a lot of things, Zaka. In fact, it's kind of a message where which America wants to send out, that since nothing happened after Marco Rubio spoke to Shehbaz Sharif. So now America is directly speaking to the army chief. Perhaps we have also been told, Zaka, that Marco Rubio told Asim Munir categorically, very clearly, that that Pakistan needs to de-escalate or be ready for future consequences. Point number one. Point number two, Zaka, as you rightly said, a Saudi deputy foreign minister was here in India day before yesterday and was in Pakistan yesterday. In fact, Saudi Arabia is also using its office and also leverage with both India and Pakistan to de-escalate tension. So, at this point in time, we should look both Saudis and Americans, proactively using their leverage with India and Pakistan to diffuse the crisis at this point in time. But Zaka, this has been escalated by Asim Munir. He is the real perpetrator of Pahalgam attack. And the first escalation came from Pakistan on 22nd of April, when 26 innocent people were killed in in Pahalgam, and after which India responded. And in fact, India's position is still very clear that if Pakistan will do misadventure, we will punish them. So what happened last night, where India took down 3 Air Force bases in Pakistan. Perhaps we have also been told that their planes are down. All their attempts to infiltrate Indian territory have been thought is a punishment to Pakistan, and India wants this message to be projected in this manner, that since Pakistan did misadventure, so we punished Pakistan.
The Noor Khan Air Base, of course, is the biggest. It used to be called the Chaklala Air Base. It has both the fighter jets, the F-16s, the military transport aircraft, the C-130s, and then there's the Murid Air Base, both of which are close by to each other, just a few kilometers, and those two have been badly affected. We will try and see if we can go across to the pictures from Rehari as well. Omar Abdullah is the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, who's met with the civilians who've been affected in the Pakistani artillery shelling, both on the LC as well as in the IB. In the case of Jammu, of course, it's in the across the IB. There have been 5 deaths, is what Tejinder was telling us a moment ago. Akash is joining us from Rehari, where buildings have suffered damage, individuals have also suffered damage, and you can see those pictures of Omar Abdullah confiding with the government officials and the security officials there. Akash, what are you seeing and hearing around you?
Right, so I'm moving towards Shambhu Temple. That is another place, Zaka, hit by the projectiles. Now, the possibility is that these are kamikaze drones, because at this location, in fact, in the civilian population where I was, there present just a while back, there, in fact, we have multiple buildings, that have got hit. One building, primary building, has got, damage, in fact, major damage. And then we had, splinters that have affected the nearby building. So possibly these were kamikaze drones. This is what the assumption is. But then, even now, on and off, the air activities are happening in Jammu specifically, if we talk about. And air defense system is somewhere parting those attempts, where Pakistan is somewhere trying to, target the establishment, the military establishment primarily. But then we have the civilian infrastructure that has got impacted. And in fact, this Shambhu Temple and this, civilian population, one colony in Jammu, have been hit by the Pakistani drones or the missiles. In fact, forensic teams are very much there. Forensic team is checking as to, what was it and what is the kind of damage that is very much, there and is being witnessed by the population. So CM Omar Abdullah was there in this population, in this civil, area where, people have in fact spoken to the CM, and CM was in fact taking a stock of the situation. He has gone to this Shambhu Temple as well, and we are learning that he is visiting several places that are impacted somewhere after these sort of attacks that have come from Pakistan, Zaka.
All right, Akash, we'll wait for you to get there. Omar Abdullah is reaching the Shambhu Temple there, where again the projectile fell on the outer perimeter of the temple. What we do know is in that particular attack, there's been no casualties. No one has been injured. But the fact that a temple has been targeted, and we've seen this pattern from Pahalgam, even over the LC firings, the artillery firings, the violations of the ceasefire that happened. There were Hindu temples and Hindu homes that were targeted. Let me also try and get you a sense of what is happening. The meta picture right now at 9:30 in the morning. The one thing that we can tell you is that the escalation has now gone up a couple of notches up the escalation ladder. It was Pakistan that chose to escalate. They tried to hit some of our forward defense bases, particularly Air Force stations from Udhampur to Srinagar to Adampur to Pathankot, the biggest airbase in this part of the woods, in the northern part of the woods, the Sirsa Air Force Station. They even sent out a Fatah 2 missile, a ballistic 400-kilometer range missile in the direction of New Delhi. It was, of course, thwarted in the skies over Haryana. So, in response, India hit back, and it is hit back substantially against at least 3 air bases in Pakistan. The Noor Khan Air Base, which is the biggest in Rawalpindi, it houses a military training college as well. And then you have the Murid Air Base in Chakwal, and then you have the Surakot Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base. 3 air bases have been hit by India in retaliatory firing. Anshul is now joining us. He's, of course, in Jalandhar. We're also given to understand that Pakistan launched a biker Yeeha kamikaze drone in Amritsar in Punjab. So both in Amritsar and in Jalandhar, we're hearing multiple reports, Anshul, of swarms of drones being sent by the Pakistanis. What are you hearing and seeing the morning after what has been a very dramatic and escalatory night?
Well, definitely there are a lot of reports that are coming in. In fact, this just a few moments ago, there were reports of some fresh explosions that were heard in Amritsar, and at this point in time, the authorities are telling us that our air defense systems were at work. But out here at the location at which I am standing is in Gurdaspur. Remember, there was a big explosion that was reported in Gurdaspur, and I'll just try and show you what has transpired over here. This is the kind of impact that has been made by the by the missile that was actually launched from the side of Pakistan. You can see the kind of impact, the kind of crater that it has created over here, and this is right in the field. Right in a farm field over here. In fact, what locals are telling us that the impact of this entire blast was actually heard by at least 4 kilometers away from this location, and not only this, but also the window panes of several of these houses of these locals have also been smashed. I'll just try to speak to a few people. So, ये कितने बजे यहाँ पे ये हादसा हुआ?
4:45 थे।
4:45 पे क्या हुआ था? जब कैसे पता लगा कि यहाँ पे
लो जगदी आई आ ते एकदम जगी आ लो फिर डिपे आ ते उदों भवका वज गया तू बद निकला ताणू।
हाँ जी, यहाँ पे फिर आर्मी पुलिस एजेंसीज कब तक पहुंची?
बाद च आई पुलिस
और
पहलों पिंड दे बंदे आ ਉਹ ਡੇਰੀ ਕੋਲ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਚ ਆਏ ਬੰਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆੜ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਆਡੇ ਲਾਗੇ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਆ ਗੋਠੀ ਵਾਲਾ ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਇਹ ਘਰ ਤੇ ਆੜ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਵੇਖੇ ਆ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੇ ਆਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਉਹ ਡਿੱਗੇ ਵਹੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਭੈਣੀਆਂ ਪੰਚਾਇਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਡਿੱਗੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਰਪੰਚ ਨੇ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੁਖਦੇਵ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ आंदा भी वेखो कितना बच गए अही भी बचे अही
किसी को इंजरी या किसी को चोट लगने की तो कोई
ना किसी ने लगी चोट पिंड दे सिमट लथे आ शीशे टुट गए ओ राजू बिल्ले भी शीशे टुटे आ ए कोठी दे भी टुटे ओ कोठी दे टुटे साडे भी टुट गए आ
तो यहाँ पे कुछ मिसाइल जैसा भी मिला था जो
कोई गलबात नहीं सिर्फ लो वेखी आ घर वाले ने वेखी है अज माता जागण दी मैं भी जागण मैं पग लैके सुता मच्छर बहुत ज्यादा ते ए करके मैं जागण दूजे बच्चे भी जागण दी साडे
So just to translate for our viewers that there was this explosion that was heard over here at approximately 4:30 a.m. this morning, where there was a huge fire that erupted over here, and post that there was an impact that was heard by people who are residing far away from here. The window panes of their houses were broken. Once they reached over here, they saw this massive crater, and hence they called the local authorities over here. And once the authorities came over here, they took the debris away from here. But this is the current situation. You can see, you can actually imagine the impact or the size of the projectile that might have landed over here. This is a massive crater that has developed over here. But the only positive news is that no injuries were reported. There was no there are absolutely no damages to any sort of properties, big damages to any sort of properties over here. But yet again, this cowardly nation Pakistan yet again trying to attack civilian population out here in Punjab.
Okay, thanks for joining us from Gurdaspur, the village there. You can see that massive crater. Anshul saying there live for us in Gurdaspur. We want to go to this breaking news. You saw those pictures over Amritsar, the blue skies over Amritsar earlier this morning. Now we have information. Pakistan launching what is called the Biker Yeeha 3 kamikaze drones in Amritsar. This, of course, endangering residential areas in Punjab. So there have been multiple attempts in Amritsar, in Jalandhar, in Pathankot, in Gurdaspur. So Punjab seems to be facing the brunt of these drone swarms as well as possible missile attacks by Pakistan, all of which, of course, has been neutralized by Army air defense guns today. The pictures that we were showing, the blue sky pictures that we were showing a short while ago, there you go on the bottom right part of your screen. These are from about 5 a.m. in the morning. You can see the air defense systems neutralizing and taking down these kamikaze drones that were sent across from the other side by Pakistan. The drone was aimed to target civilian areas and to claim civilian lives. That's been now confirmed by defense officials. Aman is also joining us, and so is Siddhant. Aman, so there's going to be multiple meetings, as you would expect. Rajnath Singh will be meeting with the three service chiefs. The three service chiefs are meeting right now in South Block. There's a press conference by the Foreign Secretary at 10:30 in about 45 minutes from now. It is a hectic morning, Saturday morning in New Delhi.
Absolutely, Zaka, and I'm just outside the Ministry of External Affairs, where in about 45 minutes from now, the Foreign Secretary and the two officers from the Air Force and the Army will be briefing the media again on what has transpired since morning. So we'll wait for the briefing to know what exactly they say, but what top sources, Zaka, are telling me are two things. Number one, saying that it is the IMF bailout. Pakistan has done this operation, this escalation against India soon after getting the IMF bailout. So it is up to the world community now to understand and to contemplate, to review what this IMF bailout actually means. India objected to it fully yesterday at the IMF, but of course the structure of the IMF is such that India could not block it. The bailout has been given, and this is what India is trying to point out now, that Pakistan waited for this IMF bailout and then has launched this big retaliation against India, big strikes through missiles targeting our forward air bases, Sirsa, Pathankot, Udhampur. They are trying to attack our forward air bases, and Pakistan is the escalator. This is the number one point that I'm learning from sources. Second point, that US Secretary of State Rubio has called up Asim Munir. He's not called up the Pakistani Prime Minister. He's called up the Pakistani Army Chief directly to tell him to de-escalate. This is very, very significant. Indian government sources are saying, number one, it shows that Pakistan is the escalator. That is why the US Secretary of State has directly called up the Pakistani Army Chief. Number two, that it is the Pakistan Army which is calling the shots very clearly. It is not the Pakistan political machinery. It is the Pakistani Army which is calling the shots. And that is why you see the US Secretary of State directly calling up the Pakistani Army Chief. So this is also something we will try and post to the MEA today. What is their view on this development? India is very clear that, India's retaliation to Pahalgam April 22nd attack was over with Operation Sindoor on May 7th. Since May 7th, in the last 96 hours, it is Pakistan which has done escalation after escalation, first sending 200 to 300 drones across India from Leh to Sir Creek, 36 locations. Yesterday morning, 26 locations again are targeted by Pakistan, and this time adding ballistic missiles to try and take out our major Air Force bases. This is major escalation, Zaka. We have responded by striking as deep as the Rawalpindi airbase of Pakistan, and this is India's warning to Pakistan that if Pakistan does not stop here, if it does not de-escalate and stand down, India will go to any lengths now to harm Pakistan. And that is what the message India is also going to give to the world community, that it needs to reign in Pakistan. And I think US Secretary of State called to Asim Munir, Zaka, in that sense is very significant.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's the first phone conversation between the Secretary of State. He's also the acting National Security Advisor, speaking directly to the Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir. Really, if Asim Munir decides to stand down today in the next moments, then India will stand down too. All right, if in case you're just tuning in at 48 minutes past the hour here on a Saturday morning on CNN News 18, these are the big headlines that we're tracking right now. Headline number one, India intercepting Pakistani drones over Amritsar, managing to destroy them. This is at about 5 o'clock this morning. You can see those drones being destroyed by the Army Air Defense System, working to the T. And this, of course, is from the skies above Amritsar. Headline number two, a missile-like object was found in a village called Samaspur in Adampur. Adampur hosts one of the big Air Force stations in northern India. This is in Jalandhar district. So a lot of these Air Force stations and air bases have been the target of attacks by Pakistan overnight. The discovery of this missile has caused a degree of panic amongst the locals. The police have reached the spot and have taken away the debris. Headline number three, Pakistan attempting to scale this up, climb up the escalation ladder a couple of notches. They tried firing the Fatah 2 missile, which is a medium-range ballistic missile, 400-kilometer range, in the direction of Delhi. It was intercepted in the skies over Haryana. And what you can see there are curious villagers who've gathered in the fields there and capturing pictures of what seems to be a substantially big part, a large part of the remnants of that Fatah missile. Headline number 4, in Gurdaspur, where Anshul Singh was reporting for us just a moment ago, a massive crater seen in the ground. This again after a suspected hit of a projectile. We don't know if this is a drone or a missile that has struck there. Massive crater, again, thankfully in the fields. Therefore, there hasn't been any casualties or any fatalities there. So that seems to be the silver lining. Headline number 5, in Srinagar, in a place called Lasjan, which is on the outskirts of Srinagar city, remnants of what is believed to be a Pakistani Air Force jet. The wreckage from the Pakistani Air Force jet have been found. It landed again in the backyard of a residential complex, and therefore, again, no injuries reported there. These are the images of that wreckage, and our Ishan Wani was there reporting for us just moments ago. Headline number 6, a bomb-like object was found in a place called Jamla. This is a village in Pokhran, in Rajasthan, in the deserts of Rajasthan. The Indian Army neutralizing this Pakistani missile. We don't know what is the nature of this missile, whether it is a projectile, which is a medium range, or a short range rocket. But yes, that debris has been removed and taken away by the authorities. Headline number 7, damaged parts of a drone have been found in the Narsu area. This is in Udhampur, which is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Army Command. They have taken away the army officials. You can see them there in their uniforms and bulletproof jackets. They've taken away the remnants of this drone for further inspection and investigation. Headline number 8, there has been damage in civilian areas, particularly in Jammu, in a place called Rahari. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah was visiting there. He's right now visiting what's called the Shambhu Temple, a famous temple in Jammu, in Rupnagar. Fortunately, the damage was in the outer perimeter of the temple complex, so there's not been any human casualties in that attack in the Shambhu Temple in Rupnagar. Headline number 9, and this is important, Aman was referring to this a moment ago, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has spoken with the Pakistani Army Chief, General Asim Munir. This was earlier today. The U.S. State Department has put out a readout, and it is said that Secretary Rubio urged the Pakistani Army Chief to stand down, to de-escalate, and that America is willing to work with both India and Pakistan to try and get calmer heads to prevail. All right, we're getting a piece of breaking news. The BSF in Jammu has managed to destroy terrorist launch pads in Sialkot in Pakistan, is what we're given to understand. You can see those images on the left side of your screen. Arunima has more details on this. Arunima, so massive shelling, artillery shelling on both the LOC as well as in the international border. But in Sialkot in Pakistan, there's been substantial damage that the BSF has managed to inflict. What more do you know?
Yes, so they've identified this launch pad as Luni, which is in Sialkot district. This is just across from Akhnur in Jammu. Around 9 p.m. last night, 2100 hours, there was heavy shelling going on from the side of Pakistani Rangers. And in its retaliation, BSF took down this terror launch pad. They put out visuals, 2 sets of visuals. One just shows you how across the fence, suddenly the area, the farmland area there lights up. And it is the terror launch pad which was targeted. And then there's another set of visual which shows that what is believed to be the terror launch pad, Luni is what BSF has identified it, that's on fire. You can see that entire area set on fire. Back to back, second day of the BSF taking down terrorists and terror infrastructure. Yesterday, I mean, the night before, they had taken down 7 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists in Samba. This was also, and this is a pattern which is emerging, that while Pakistan is upping the ante, either sending in drones or sending in missiles and munitions, they're also utilizing the possible distraction. They think that our forces are distracted to put in infiltration attempts. So Samba sector, BSF neutralized 7 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists. Yesterday, again, there was movement noticed at the Sialkot terror launch pad, and that has been destroyed as well. So Pakistan's misadventures are being thwarted at every level by the Indian Army, by the Indian Air Force, and also by the Border Security Force.
Arunima, doesn't it make us all feel proud of our defense forces, our entire mechanism, think tank, which is not just out-thought the enemy, but also tried to prove that where their thinking ends, that's where our thinking begins. So there is a certain level of preparedness that is evident at all levels. We've just got more news coming through, and we'll also try, as we get you, total 6 drones have been shot by the Indian Air Force and the Indian Armed Forces in Kutch in Gujarat, 4 by the Nalia Indian Air Force Base, and 2 by the Air Force Base or the Indian Armed Forces in Bhuj. So there are 6 drones overall that have been shot down even in Gujarat. So wherever the Pakistanis have tried to enter, the Pakistan Armed Forces, the military has tried to enter, they have been thwarted at various levels. The first probe level drones were negated. Then the probe level projectiles were negated. Then the missile defense systems were busted there on the other side and on the enemy side. Then the Dushman tries Pak air raids. When that happens, 4 air bases have been rendered useless. In fact, most of their machines can't even operate from those air bases. So Dushman again facing reversals. Then they try to go ballistic. They try to use their Fatah missiles, Fatah 1 and 2 missiles, Barak and Akash, neutralize them in the Akash itself. And again, more drones that they're trying to send towards military installations in Bhuj. Again, those drones with munitions have been now decimated, have been destroyed. We'll also try and go across to Pallavi Ghosh to try and also outline how the entire jihadi connection, this entire Pak military is an out-and-out patron of jihadis, and they consider them as mujahideen or soldiers itself. And that is not just because of the pictures that were seen when you had a US proscribed terrorist in Hafiz Abdul Rauf leading the prayers, and jihadis of Jaish and Lashkar, they were getting state funeral and with military personnel standing in attendance. But the DGISPR, there is now conversation that the DGISPR has a jihadi pedigree. The DGISPR has a jihadi pedigree. His father was a proscribed terrorist, flagged off by the UN Security Council itself, and he was an aide of Osama bin Laden. He actually leaked key information and details to Osama bin Laden. So that's the connection. Let us hope that the Indian machinery, the diplomatic machinery, the whole of Bharat approach that we are witnessing highlights this to the international community. This is the pedigree, and this is the group to whom the 1.3 billion bailout has been given by the IMF. These are things that we need to put out to the world to show this is the Pakistan that's being backed and by the IMF, and they should be branded terror state Pakistan. Does India up the diplomatic ante? We'll wait and watch. Now going back to the drones, Akash is with us on the phone line. Akash, so more drones neutralized by the defense systems. Now there is also talk that Pakistan tried to go ballistic and they got a bloody nose there too, with Barak and Akash equally effective in our skies.
Yes, they tried ballistic missiles last night and in fact early morning today, Anand. And yes, air defense system of India, thwarted those attempts. But as far as these drones are concerned, so these 6 drones have been, destroyed by Indian Air Force. 2 at Bhuj and 4 are at Nalia. We have been given to understand. And also, Anand, since we know that Pakistan is basically targeting air assets and in fact the airbase stations here in India. So we know that how air defenses are very much there working, pretty fine. We know that Akash air missile and in fact surface to air missiles and also the fighter jets, are very much employed. We have seen the dogfight in Srinagar today. We are still waiting for the confirmation as far as downing of 2 Pakistani jet is concerned, and also other developments when we are learning about the Pathankot thing, learning about the Jammu thing, and also some sort of ceasefire violations that are happening across LC. So multiple fronts, Anand, but as far as western borders are concerned and western places here in India are concerned, so they are being targeted by Pakistani forces.
Right. There are 2 messages that have gone from our forces, from the whole of Bharat approach, and salute to our armed forces. Look at these pictures. The pictures show this is on the morning skies and confirmation that how these drones have been downed. I'm just going to check. These are the pictures that we were talking about over in Bhuj. And that's it. Let's try and listen into the ambient noise. These are the locals who are making the pictures, and you can spot the visual. You can spot. Yeah, ayo. That's what they're saying. See, that's the missile there. See, and the hand shakes. There you go. That's the missile. That's where it is, and this will be now down.
Missile drone ke mare la. Hane nahi je wala. Udai the drone ke ba. Udai with the. Udai the drone ke. Honte vini tu radar de. Kanak parte vini tu.
So there you go. So confirmation there that there was a missile going, and then the air defense systems come into play. The drone has been now negated. So the drone was trying to make its way towards a military installation in Bhuj, and there you go. It's been negated, and then you see both crashing down. Once the interception happens, the drone clashes, and so does the interception. So both captured. Both captured on the screens. But Akash, the message by Bharat is very clear. घुसोगे तो मारेंगे and घुस के भी मारेंगे. Both is happening. Both are happening.
Yes, both are happening, and in fact, Anand, I want to stress on one important point here. As far as Pakistan is concerned, so they say that they have got capable platforms and weapons. Today, we have seen that how their systems are targeting the civilian population, and this one point is exposing Pakistan. They say that they are not targeting civilian population. Either your systems are getting failed, or you are intentionally targeting civilian population. In both the cases, you are getting exposed. This is one, a place that is, outside one temple here, Shambhu Temple in Jammu, where the projectile came in the morning. I'll show you the destruction. In fact, Rajesh ji is showing you the sort of destruction here. Civil population is getting targeted by Pakistani forces, and in fact, this is out of frustration. क्या हुआ था सर यहाँ पे? कितने बजे की बात है
ये? सुबह 5:30 बजे की बात है। हम घर में सोए हुए थे तो जोरदार धमाकों की आवाज आई। कैसे लगा बम्बारमेंट हो रही है। तो 6 बजे के लगभग पूरे एक ऐसा जोरदार अटैक हुआ, जैसे लगा कि कोई मिसाइल अटैक हुआ और मेरे ही छत पे हुआ है। तो मेरा उसी समय मैं उठ के बाहर आया और अपने छत पे चढ़ के देखा तो धुआं उड़ रहा था। तो बैक साइड से देखा तो मेरे घर के बैक साइड में ही धुआं उड़ा। तो मैं उसी समय घर से बाहर आया। जैसे घर से बाहर आया तो अपने गली में बैक साइड आके देखा तो बिल्कुल इस घर में अटैक हुआ है।
रहते हैं इसमें
यहाँ पे ये जिनका घर है ये बेच के चले गए। यहाँ पे कोई नहीं रहता था। लेकिन गनीमत ये रही कि यहाँ पे जो ये हमारा प्राचीन मंदिर है, आप शंभू मंदिर, हजारों वर्ष पुराना मंदिर है ये। यहाँ पे शनिवार और रविवार सोमवार के दिन हजारों की संख्या में श्रद्धालु आते हैं और शिवरात्रि के दिन लाखों की संख्या में श्रद्धालु आते हैं।
सर मुझे एक चीज बताइए, ये तो मंदिर तो हमने देखा है थोड़ा ऑल्टीट्यूड पे भी है, थोड़ा ऊंचाई पे है, इसलिए शायद टारगेट किया गया।
ना, इस यहाँ पे 8-10 दिन पहले यहाँ पे NSG कमांडो द्वारा मॉक ड्रिल भी की गई थी।
अच्छा।
क्योंकि ये यहाँ पे हमारा प्राचीन मंदिर है और यहाँ पे सुबह 4 बजे ही लोग यहाँ पे श्रद्धालु जाना शुरू।
मुझे एक चीज बताइए, क्या था? ड्रोन था, मिसाइल थी क्या? क्योंकि यहाँ तो कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है।
सुबह पुलिस आई थी, दूसरी फोरेंसिक टीम भी आई थी। वो मलबा लेके चली गई है। ये एक मलबा है उसका पड़ा हुआ है। अब ये ड्रोन का तो हो नहीं सकता, यहाँ मिसाइल का, ये तो इन्वेस्टिगेशन का विषय है। ये पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी। लेकिन जो तरीके का
ये आपने उसका पार्ट, ये आप आनंद, ही इज शोइंग यू द विजुअल्स ऑफ दिस।
Can you go full frame on this, please?
जिस तरीके का धमाका था ये ड्रोन का नहीं हो सकता, ये मिसाइल का धमाका हमें लगता है। क्योंकि जितनी उसका आवाज जो साउंड थी ऐसे लगा कि कान के पर्दे भी फट जाएंगे। इस तरीके का जोरदार धमाका था और सीधा अटैक जो मेन टारगेट था वो आप शंभू मंदिर था हमारा।
कोई इंजर्ड तो नहीं है यहाँ पे? किसी को कोई चोट?
बिल्कुल, मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि सायरन बज गया था। सायरन अगर नहीं बजता तो लोग मंदिर को जा रहे होते। यही मेन रोड है, ये प्रवेश द्वार है मंदिर का। यहीं से लोग जाते तो बहुत कैजुअलिटी होनी थी। तो सायरन बजा, हो रही थी। हम सब अंदर थे, अपने घरों में थे।
एक बार फिर से अगर हमें ये दिखा पाए, ये वो पार्ट है, ये टुकड़ा है जो आपने धमाके के बाद यहाँ से उठाया है ना? और ये आप कह रहे हैं कि ये मिसाइल का वो हिस्सा हो सकता है या ड्रोन का वो हिस्सा हो सकता है?
देखिए, ये जो जिस तरीके का जो धमाका था वो ड्रोन का धमाका मुझे नहीं लगता कि हो सकता है। मुझे लगता है ये मिसाइल का धमाका है। ड्रोन का धमाका और मिसाइल के धमाके में और बम के धमाके में हमें अंतर है। तो जैसे जो पहले चल रहे थे वो लग रहा था कि ड्रोन के धमाके हो रहे थे, वो छोटे छोटे धमाके थे।
लगभग कितने लोग सुबह जिस टाइम पे हुआ उस टाइम पे श्रद्धालु भी आते होंगे, कितने लोग उस टाइम पे थे यहाँ पर जो आप कह रहे हैं कि सायरन्स के बाद अंदर चले गए?
देखिए, जब सायरन बजा तो लोग उसी समय अपने अपने घरों में चले गए। नहीं तो यहाँ पे 4 बजे ही श्रद्धालु अपने बाबा के चरणों में माथा टेकने जाते हैं। हमारा हजारों वर्ष प्राचीन मंदिर है यहाँ पे। यहाँ पे पहली बार अटैक हुआ है और ये बिल्कुल टारगेट करके, इसी मंदिर को टारगेट करके अटैक किया गया है। क्योंकि यहाँ पे 10 दिन पहले भी मॉक ड्रिल हुई थी। क्योंकि पहले भी आपने देखा हमारे बॉर्डर पे वहां पे भी मंदिर को टारगेट किया गया, तो इधर भी यहाँ पे मंदिर को टारगेट किया गया।
All right, Anand, I'll show you the visuals. Why this is important? Because this is the entry gate of this temple, and he is saying that at that time, air sirens were on, and that's why people who were present here, who were in fact, coming to this temple, were asked to, go back to their places. And this was the time when this particular projectile hit the space here. And in fact, Rajesh ji will show you. This is, adjacent to this temple, the entry, in fact, gate of the temple. And this temple is at a, height. In fact, at an altitude from where you can see the entire Jammu area. So possibly this was the target, and it was an intentional target. This is what people are suggesting here. We still don't know as to if it was a drone or if it was a missile, but we know this for a fact that how ballistic missiles are being used by Pakistan since morning, and not just in Jammu, but in other areas as well, where in Srinagar we have reports, in Avantipura we have reports, for Pathankot we have reports, and in fact we have reports for different parts in Gujarat as well. We know about the dogfight that happened in Srinagar, and we know about the sort of instances and in fact the incidents that have happened in the different parts of country, in fact in the western parts and the northern parts.
All right, Akash, we'll come back to you as and when there are further developments. I also want to go across to Lieutenant General retired Rajendra Singh, former DG Infantry, and Group Captain retired MJ Vinod, former fighter pilot, to get a sense of what this escalation means. Lieutenant General, let me start with you first. Clearly, there's been an escalation from the Pakistani side. I guess the attempt was to try and hit some of our forward air bases and FO stations. All of that has been neutralized. In response, India has hit at least 3 air bases of Pakistan. The old Chaklala Air Base, it's now called the Noor Khan Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base, and the Murid Air Base. Make sense of this for our viewers. What is the meta picture this Saturday morning as we count down the next 25 minutes for that important press conference by the Foreign Secretary and by defense officials?
Yeah. Thank you very much. First and foremost, when we look at the overall picture today, 2-3 things are quite clear. First is Pakistan is continuing its strike on civilian targets. It is also continuing its strikes right from Kashmir to down south in Gujarat. And the second thing which is happening is that Pakistan is striking or is attempting to strike our military bases as well. The third thing which is there is that they seem to be attempting to escalate the situation. In response to this, India's response has been measured, targeted, and has been generally targeted towards their air defense assets and their air bases. The strikes today, which have happened early morning on the 3 air bases of Pakistan, are actually cases in point. Now, what does it imply? It implies that Pakistan wants that we should suffer, and our border towns and the areas around it must undergo tremendous amount of civil defense alerts, and they are wanting to escalate a situation in which India is forced to take even stronger measures.
All right, let me go across to Group Captain Augustin Vinod also. Group Captain, so one pattern is very, very clear, that the attempt by the Pakistani side was to try and take out, or at least attempt to take out, some of our forward air bases. There were multiple drone swarms at Pathankot, the Srinagar Air Force Station, the Jammu Air Force Station, also Udhampur, I'm given to understand, all the way up to, Sirsa. Why? And in response, India has attempted to take down Noor Khan, which is, of course, one of their biggest air bases right in the heart of Rawalpindi. Why are either side trying to attack each other's air bases? Why is that the first line of defense that's being tried to be taken down?
Great question, Zaka. In fact, just a while ago, I was discussing with Akanksha the same thing. If you look at how the pattern, when we hit their terrorist target, they didn't have an equivalent target to it. So they had some kind of choice, but they made a wrong choice. Okay, because of which we said, okay, it's not a tit for tat, but we will, if you're going to hit us 3, we are going to hit you 3 and leave it at that. And at every point, Jaka, we of course discussed ad nauseum on that. Gave you off ramp and continue to give you off ramp. Even today, though it's very nearly war, we are not even declaring a war. Even today, we are not crossing the red line. The red line in two sense: LAC, LOC, or IB. We're saying this side of the line, and trying to every time tell you this is our capability. Please wake up. But that seems to be not happening. If you look at Noor Khan, erstwhile Chiklala, like you said, we took out their strategic asset, most probably an MRTT or C-130. And you look at Murid, all their UCAVs comes from there. Their strategic UAVs comes from there. UAVs which can carry, I believe, even the nuclear air-to-ground weapons come from there.
Okay.
We have taken that out. And Rafiki is again a very important base because it has 6 fighter squadrons. Not only that, it is a very emotional base for them because it is named after squadron leader Rafiki, who got Hilale Pakistan and Sitare Surat. I think he is the only guy to have both gallantry award together in their scheme of things, and we have taken that out, and we have in the briefing also told them that's a no further. But have they got the message? I don't think so, because immediately after that came the Srinagar attack.
All right.
And we saw 2, I believe we saw 2 fighter aeroplanes, if not 3, going down over Srinagar. So
okay, just give me a moment, Group Captain. I want to get to this breaking news as well. There is now an emergency meeting that's been called for in 7 LKM. The Prime Minister is meeting with the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, who has reached 7 LKM. There's now a meeting between the Prime Minister and his National Security Advisor. Arun Danta has more on this. Arun, yes, go ahead.
That's right. Zaka, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval just arrived here at 7 LKM, and he's meeting Prime Minister Modi. This is a very, very significant meeting, Zaka, because we know what is happening, the way Pakistan has resorted to drone attacks, and the way India is, in fact, giving equal reply with the full measures to Pakistan. And in that regard, of course, this meeting is going to be very, very important. It's been 5 minutes since NS Ajit Doval has gone inside. Remember, even yesterday, he was here for 5-6 hours at the Prime Minister Modi's residence, and he's somebody, Zaka, who's been point person for Prime Minister Modi. He's somebody who's been giving regular updates to Prime Minister Modi, starting from the day one when the Pahalgam attack happened, and how India formulated the strategy against dismantling the terror infrastructure in Pakistan, and especially in last 2-3 days, ever since India started the Operation Sindoor. So NSA Ajit Doval has been that person who's been the point person for Prime Minister Modi. He's somebody, even if he's not here, he's been briefing Prime Minister Modi about each and every detail, each and every measure that the Indian forces are taking. So this is a very, very important meeting. We are also given to understand that he's also in touch with the CDS and the 3 services chief, because Rajnath Singh, of course, is also going to move towards the South Block, where already tribal services chief are there, where war room has been formed. They are monitoring situation from there. And NSA Ajit Doval's visit to Prime Minister Modi is very important, because he is giving those details to Prime Minister Modi, which he of course got from the Tri Services Chief and the CDS.
Well, thank you for those inputs. Let's go across to Lieutenant General Rajendra Singh joining us, former DG Infantry, and also Group Captain MJ Vinod. Are we seeing perhaps not just a calibrated escalation from Pakistan, General Rajendra Singh, but also now is Bharat going to now up the ante? Is there going to be a shift in the overall posture of Bharat itself in this entire war on terror?
My assessment is that it is high time that India ups the ante and take on Pakistan in a much bigger way. And that is what is likely to take place. But that is my assessment. What the decision makers are going to do is a different thing. The second point which I want to make is that when you are dealing with the unpredictable, totally irrational enemy, then you need to strike him with strength. You cannot carry on with your measured stance for a long time. We have already struck their air defense targets. We have also restricted our strikes onto their air assets. And we have not gone beyond that. I think it is time for us to go beyond that. And I think that is what is likely to take place. Because unless you do this, the punishment that Pakistan is going to get would not be enough. I think we need to strike them with a blow that these people come to their senses. At the moment, I think that time has now come for India to really show its might.
Now, there are also the non-kinetic options, but we'll get into that diplomatically. What should be the assault? There are huge question marks around the supposed jihadi pedigree of the DGISPR itself. We'll talk about that also. Should Bharat now go on a diplomatic, kinetic, all-out offensive, especially after the IMF, despite what Pakistan has resorted to, gave it out a bailout of $1.3 billion, and soon after that, Pakistan goes ballistic. But Group Captain MJ Vinod, our defenses of our skies, now has Pakistan been put paid? The probing aspect to try and see where they are located and if they can target all of that, none of this seems to have worked. But they have, now there is confirmation on that aspect that they have resorted to ballistic missiles. Fateh 1 and 2 have been pressed into service by the Pakis.
Absolutely. In fact, like you know, for a while, for a long while, I was the Secretary of Ballistic Missile Defense, and I know what goes behind when you are trying to bring down a ballistic missile. And thankfully, we placed them the way we placed them. And over Sirsa, the missile which was heading towards Delhi and probably closer to your studio, who knows, we were able to intercept them over Sirsa and bring it down.
Yes.
And it was a huge explosion that we saw when it was intercepted in air. So that and those probing missions, like you rightly said, Anand, should have given them some sense of fear and some sense of appreciation as to what they were looking for and what the effect was. It wasn't matching. Right. So at that time, someone who's a sane voice, and there are sane voices emanating, Anand, as we speak, from the Pakistani side. Marshal Akhtar has come up and said, and many people are saying that you guys are going on a madness rampage, and mind you, air war is conducted by air warriors, and air war is not conducted by army people, like it is being done in Pakistan, which is very sad.
Group Captain MJ Vinod, I think you would be aware that the Pak Army Chief General Asim Munir, during the time when he was a major itself, was labeled the deceiver. So many in Pakistan believe he's deceiving the Pakistani people with what he's doing, but Pakistan is also deceiving the world. Meanwhile, closer home, in terms of the kinetic action that was witnessed over our skies, and it was all blocked, but there were two loud explosions that were heard in the morning over in Srinagar. So these are the pictures, and so this is CCTV records. CCTV records which are now showing two loud explosions, or we can hear them. There are two. Yeah, that's the second one. So two loud explosions. That now is this one of them? One of the planes that's being brought down, or is it the missiles that have been brought down? Which and this is at a time when yes, Ishan is joining us. Ishan. So what are these sounds reportedly? Do we have any, this one? And is it close to the location where supposedly there was a missile and also remnants of a Pak plane that were found in Srinagar?
Yes, exactly. This is near that particular area where the CCTV footage clearly gives you an idea of the sort of explosions that we all heard in the morning. And since then, people are in a little bit of panic, but the administration is trying to tell them to stay calm. Well, there are reports that there's a possibility of an aircraft of Pakistan origin which has been shot down on the outskirts of Srinagar. And since then, we don't want to divulge any further operational details because it's an operation in progress. But two of these objects were recovered from the house of one of the persons living there. It's a very closely knitted locality where they fell, and luckily unlucky enough for the residents that didn't fall on any of the houses, could have led to damage, but those were taken away by the police. And now what we have been given to understand is that a team is looking after it, what kind of object it is, whether it is part of an aircraft that possibly could have been brought down, because they believe that they have been able to successfully neutralize aircrafts over Srinagar. Whether it's an aircraft or a drone which was neutralized, that remains to be seen, and that's being investigated. That part is being done by the security forces.
Right. And if it is two aircrafts, Pakistani jets that have been neutralized over Jammu and Kashmir, what happens to the pilots and have they been apprehended? Plenty of questions doing the rounds. There's nothing confirmed. We're standing by for the briefing, the MEA briefing, scheduled at 10:30 a.m. this morning. In about 10 minutes, it should start. So the countdown is on for that briefing to get underway. How detailed is this briefing? And is there a shift in the posture of Bharat itself? Overall, we'll see what Mr. Vikram Misri has to say, what Colonel Sophia Qureshi has to say, what Wing Commander Vyomika Singh say in that briefing, and how much do they outline and detail out what all Pakistan attempted in the intervening night of 9th of May and the 10th of May. Rahul Shivshankar joins us on the broadcast this morning. General Rajendra is with us, and so is Group Captain MJ Augustine Vinod. But more importantly, General Saab, if I may ask you, and Rahul takes it forward, this is a serious escalation by Pakistan. Now, is this foolhardy? Have they walked down a path of no return? And should Bharat now respond not in equal measure, but in a far more punitive measure? As of now, the counter strikes itself have hurt Pakistan. We're given to understand that at least 4 air bases of Pakistan have been rendered ineffective. Rawalpindi has suffered massive setbacks. Their machines also there have been destroyed. There is speculation it could be the C-130 fleet or squadron that's been destroyed entirely, but that's subject to confirmation. We'll wait for the official confirmation, but this is confirmed that Pak air bases have been hit. Yes, General Saab.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. The time is now there for more punitive action. That doesn't mean that you don't carry on with your diplomatic efforts. It also does not mean that the other means that you are adopting must not continue. But I think time is now right. Our army and the BSF is already responding correctly as far as across LC and international border in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. I think time has now come to punish Pakistan in a bigger way. We need to strike their military targets again. I am not suggesting that we start striking civilians, which we will not do, because that is not ethical. That is not the kind of operations that we undertake ever. And I think unless we do this, these mad people running the military hierarchy in Pakistan will not come to this.
But what is very interesting, General Saab, is that this morning Mark Rubio actually spoke to General Munir. That's what has been reported by Reuters and other international media organizations, suggesting that for the first time, the American dispensation is addressing itself to the military, which they believe actually runs Pakistan. There's no secret of it. But I want to bring in Wing Commander Vinod also. Wing Commander, this morning, the entire thrust, once again, has been aerial. But Pakistan craft, we are told, were sighted over Srinagar. There were dogfights. We have been told that one of their crafts is down, or maybe even 2. There's debris that has been recovered. You've seen some of those loud explosions that happened around 5:45 in the morning when we were all waking up this morning. And it pretty much happened real time. And after that, we know. So what do you make of this? Getting the jets into the race now. At one time, it was just drones. Now come the jets. Sure sign of escalation. And we haven't, and let's be very clear, isn't it? Please correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't crossed the LOC in any which way.
Absolutely. In Group Captain, it doesn't matter. See, a couple of things, Rahul. In fact, while that famous movie, while we were sleeping, I was with Akanksha covering. We both were going through this live as it was happening. The issue here is, I'll start your last question first. The issue here is we have the capability, Rahul. not to cross the LOC, LAC, IB, and yet hit them where we want to hit them because we have that kind of vectors, like I covered earlier. We have Scalp NG going up to 300 to 550. We have Rudram 1, Rudram 2. Rudram 2 is hypersonic. I mean, किसी का बाप इनको intercept नहीं कर सकता है. Not a single weapon in the world, Rahul, has a capability to intercept Rudram 2. We have Rudram 1, Rudram 2 carried by Sukhoi 30. We have a wonderful weapon called Crystal Maze. I've tweeted about it as well. Crystal Maze is a lower version or a lesser weight version of a famous missile called Popeye, which is an anti-radiation missile. We have that. And I believe, I mean, I'm betting my money on Popeye used in the attack in Noor Khan